What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
11 Shish. Chapter 251 Empress of the Training Object. Chen is immune to Mero Mellow. Is this supposed to be a man? It looks so strange. 99. How did he get here? At this time, the protector of the country Margaret and the others looked at the figure that looked like a man with vigilance and curiosity. He was dressed in black and had a handsome face. Wherever he stood, there was a big pit in the shape of a bear's paw. No doubt, this man is exactly Chen. Chen looked at Margaret and the other women, and the corners of his mouth twitched. Daughter Island, here he comes. Before Whitebeard suggested that Chen learn hockey, although it was not necessary, it also reminded Chen. It's really not good for him to watch Luffy practice all the time. Because it's pointless. With this time, he might as well find more potential people and publish training plans. So, Chen quickly thought of Daughter Island next door. To be more precise, I thought of the Pirate Queen. There is no doubt that as a 3-color, 130, hockey strong, Boa Hancock's potential is also not small. Chen immediately decided to develop it into a new training object. Since then, there is now a scene where he descends on Daughter Island. Looking at the more and more women around, Chen smiled. He knew that even if he didn't go looking for Boa Hancock, the other party would come to him quickly. After a moment, as predicted, Lord Snake Princess is here. In the crowd, I don't know who shouted. The crowded crowd suddenly split and gave way. Immediately afterwards, a woman with a stunning appearance and a hot figure came over with her head held high. There is no doubt that it is the Pirate Queen, Boa Hancock. Behind her, there are two strange-looking women, and an old woman who loves to laugh. It was the Empress, two younger sisters, and her mother-in-law. Lord Snake, wow, so beautiful. Lord Snake Princess is still so beautiful. There was a sudden commotion in the crowd, intoxicated by the beauty of the Pirate Empress. Seeing this, Chen couldn't help but sigh, it really was a murder weapon in the world. This face, this body, absolutely. Boa Hancock walked in with his two younger sisters and his mother-in-law. Soon, she saw the man her subordinates spoke of. However, at the first sight, Boa Hancock's face changed. It's him. The Empress. Two sisters were startled. Yesterday, my mother-in-law also raised her eyebrows. The Queen knows this man. At this time, Boa Hancock came back to his senses and his face sank. Of course she knows Chen. This man, the cadre of the Straw Hat Pirates, made a big splash in Summit War. But why? He is here. Boa Hancock's heart was a warning sign. Red-eyed Chen, why are you here? 35. Red-eye Chen. Hearing this, Margaret and the others changed their faces. Is this man called Red-eye Chen? The name is also weird. On the other hand, Boa Hancock's two younger sisters and yesterday's mother-in-law suddenly changed their faces wildly. Red-eyed Chen. The one who saved Firefist Ace and Whitebeard in Summit War. The leader of the Straw Hat Pirates. After the Summit War ended, Chen's bounty was updated, and his name spread throughout the ocean. The mother-in-law and the three hadn't recognized Chen just now, but when they heard the Empress' words, they naturally reacted instantly. Red-eye Chen. This is the big pirate with a bounty of 1 billion. Why did such beings suddenly come to their daughter island? As soon as he thought of this, the faces of his mother-in-law and others also became gloomy. A sense of unease grows in their hearts. Don't be nervous, I'm here to bring warmth to you. Looking at the expressions of the Empress and others, Chen laughed dumbly. Send warmth. 35. Simply put, something good is coming to you. 99. Chen is still talking kindly. But Boa Hancock frowned. As a pirate, how could Chen be so good, and have good things come to them? And on closer inspection, they are still enemies. After all, during Summit War, she was Marine's ally, while Chen was on Whitebeard's side. With such opposing camps, it is difficult for Boa Hancock to believe Chen's words. Mero mellow. So, Boa Hancock narrowed her beautiful eyes, and suddenly she stretched out her hands and made a loving gesture. The sweet fruit ability was activated, and a burst of pink energy immediately swept towards Chen. Suddenly, Chen was enveloped in pink energy. Seeing this scene, the Empress, two younger sisters, and yesterday's mother-in-law were all delighted. They felt that what the Empress did was right. If you feel that the visitor is not good, you should preempt it. And now, Chen was hit by the Empress, Mero mellow, and it is estimated that he will turn into a stone statue. Seeing this, Margaret and others also felt that Chen was going to be petrified. As for the Empress, of course, she also thinks so. In her opinion, there is no man in this world that can compete with her charm. But the next second, the scene that made everyone fall through the glasses appeared. Bathed in Mero mellow, Chen's body did not show any petrification. He looked at the Empress with a half smile, his eyes suddenly turned scarlet, and there were strange dark patterns inside. Red. Boa Hancock was startled, and his expression suddenly became a little stunned. But soon, her expression changed again and she came back to her senses. Boa Hancock's body was shocked, he took a step back subconsciously, and then he shouted, "Don't look into his eyes." At this time, her two younger sisters, her mother-in-law, and Margaret, all looked a little confused. But when they heard Boa Hancock's coquettish shout, everyone was shocked, and they came back to their senses, with a look of astonishment on their faces. Boa Hancock's pretty face suddenly became very ugly. Red Eye Lu Chen. She whispered to herself about Lu Chen's nickname. In fact, she knew about Lu Chen's bizarre eyes during Summit War. Even Marine Admiral seemed to suffer at the time. But what she never expected was that Lu Chen's eyes were even more bizarre than she knew. Unconsciously, everyone including her just now was recruited. Fortunately, her mental power was strong, and she suddenly woke up from the hallucination, thus awakening other people. Certainly, no matter how weird Lu Chen's eyes were, Boa Hancock expected it. But what made her strange in 1.3 was that the other party was clearly hit with Mero Mello. Why didn't it turn into a stone statue? Is he immune to his own charms? How is this possible? Seeing Boa Hancock's incredible expression, Lu Chen couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. Mero Mello is ineffective against him because he is not interested in the Pirate Queen. Of course not. He is still very interested in the stunning beauty of the Pirate Queen. The reason for being immune to Mero Mello is naturally because of the existence of Mangekyo Sharingan. To put it bluntly, the sweet fruit ability is actually a kind of charm. Mero Mello, to a certain extent, can also be regarded as a kind of illusion. Since it is an illusion, how could it be effective for Lu Chen? However, the Empress made a rash move, which also turned Lu Chen's face from sunny to gloomy. Pirate Empress, it seems that you don't want to accept my kindness. Chapter 252 Lu Chen's mouth escape. The situation of the Empress. Pirate Empress, it seems that you don't want to accept my kindness. Lu Chen's face changed from sunny to overcast. It is worth mentioning that in this life, because of the existence of Lu Chen, Luffy and Boa Hancock have no contact. In this way, Lu Chen naturally couldn't use Luffy as an excuse to get close to the Pirate Queen. Certainly, Lu Chen also has the most direct method, which is to defeat Boa Hancock and force the opponent to accept the training plan. However, this approach is actually not good. Because only if the other party is completely relieved and trusts Lu Chen, the other party is more likely to believe in his training plan. In this way, you will be more motivated to complete those difficult training programs. Only now he and Boa Hancock are not related. It seems impossible to rashly let the other party relax and accept his illusion. Lu Chen, what exactly do you want to do? Boa Hancock's pretty face sank. Although Lu Chen's performance in Summit War is amazing, it is naturally impossible to intimidate her directly. For her own strength, the Pirate Queen is very confident. Even if Mero Mello fails, she doesn't think she will lose to Lu Chen. And as Boa Hancock's attitude changed 02 degrees, Margaret and others on the field naturally took out their weapons and waited. Her two younger sisters, too, stared at Lu Chen. It's the mother-in-law who knows how to use her power to overwhelm people. Red-eyed Lu Chen, our Lord Snake, but the 7 warlords of the sea. 5. You came here rashly, have you thought about the consequences? Marine is very close to here, too. Hearing this, Lu Chen suddenly glanced at Granny Za unexpectedly. The former king of the Amazon Lily Kingdom still has some scheming. He even knew how to use Marine to scare him. But unfortunately, such a small strategy is ineffective against Lu Chen. He was well aware of the relationship between the 7 warlords of the sea and Marine. Although Marine gave the 7 warlords of the sea the legal right to plunder, he did not say that he would help the 7 warlords of the sea when something happened to them. Conversely, 7 warlords of the sea will have to help if Marine needs it. Why my mother-in-law wanted to use Marine to scare him off, she thought too much. However, her remarks also reminded Lu Chen. Or, he can also scare the Empress and others. In this case, maybe you can achieve your goal without doing anything. Thinking of this, Lu Chen suddenly smiled again and said, Hee, Marine. Do you think Marine will help you if something goes wrong? Don't overthink it. I can tell you with certainty that after Marine grows, the first person to deal with is you 7 warlords of the sea. Hearing this, the mother-in-law frowned. Boa Hancock was also attracted. Lu Chen continued. You should be paying attention to the latest Marine's movements. Akainu became the new Marine Marshal and even relocated the naval headquarters to the New World. This shows his ambition. 35. If I guess correctly, they will definitely recruit a lot of troops and expand their power. Hearing this, the Empress and the others moved slightly, but did not refute. Because Lu Chen does have a point. Immediately afterwards, Lu Chen added. After expanding his power, Marine will definitely continue to deal with the 4 emperors, but before dealing with the 4 emperors, who do you think they will get rid of first? Before the Empress and the others could answer, Lu Chen's voice sounded again. To get rid of you 7 warlords of the sea, of course. After Summit War, first believe Marine has also discovered the shortcomings of you 7 warlords of the sea. 35. Give you the legal right to plunder, but when you are asked to contribute, push 3 push 4, fish in troubled waters. What's more serious is that Blackbeard's fellow, who also used the name of 7 warlords of the sea to break into Impel Down. With all this happening, do you think Marine will still trust the 7 warlords of the sea? So, what you have to do now is to improve your strength and meet the next storm. 99. Having said that, Lu Chen's voice finally stopped. Why is my mother-in-law contemplative? Boa Hancock frowned. Have to say, what Lu Chen said actually coincided with her previous thoughts. Boa Hancock also felt that the storm was approaching, so he planned to work harder to improve the national strength of the nation. It's just that she doesn't see it as thoroughly as Lu Chen. At this time, seeing the face of the Empress, Lu Chen suddenly smiled secretly. He knew that Boa Hancock was a little moved by himself. He continued to evade. Don't you think that it is enough to let all the citizens practice martial arts, and let them practice hockey? When Boa Hancock heard this, his eyes flashed. She did think so. In fact, she was already doing this before Summit War. So now, many people like Margaret and other national protectors have already mastered a little armament hockey. However, Lu Chen gave a big negative to Boa Hancock's approach. Wrong. Terribly wrong. Boa Hancock frowned. Just listening to Lu Chen continued. The situation in the future can no longer be controlled by the number of people. If you want to survive in this new era, it's useless even if you have countless master hockey subordinates. A top powerhouse can easily destroy you all. Having said that, Lu Chen couldn't help but think of the Beast's pirates and the Big Mom pirates. These two emperor-level pirates lack hockey owners. No shortage. Even many hockey owners are capable, or pseudo-capable. But this is the case. In the end, the two emperor-level pirate groups, 130, were still destroyed. Why? It's not that the top combat power has been defeated. So, want to stand tall in the future. There is only one way. That is to become the top powerhouse, who cannot be defeated. The Pirate Empress has this potential, but there is still a lot of distance between her and the top powerhouses. If she didn't step up her own training and put her hope and energy on the people, she would be making a big mistake. I mean, do you understand? Lu Chen stared at the Pirate Empress. Boa Hancock's brows got tighter and tighter. She didn't understand this. But it's easier said than done to become a top powerhouse. Compared to that, of course, it is easier to make all the citizens of the kingdom become hockey owners. Thinking like this, Boa Hancock said in a deep voice, Kaido, I don't want to listen to you in person, why are you here? Hearing this, Lu Chen grinned. Then he stated his purpose. Introduce yourself. My name is Lu Chen and I'm a trainer. 35. If you can complete my training plan, I guarantee you will be a top player. What? Hearing this, Boa Hancock was startled. Why is my mother-in-law and others also stunned? Trainer. Chapter 253 The Empress is angry and fights Lu Chen. At this time, Lu Chen introduced himself again. In his opinion. After a wave of mouth escape. When it comes to training, it's much more logical. It won't be so abrupt. But suddenly when it comes to trainers, Boa Hancock and others are still a little unclear. Trainer. After completing the training plan, you can become a top powerhouse. This moment, a strange look appeared on the faces of Boa Hancock and others. No wonder. Even if Lu Chen really came to give them a favor, it would be unbelievable. After completing the training plan, can you become a top powerhouse? What a joke. The mother-in-law and others all looked at Lu Chen with strange expressions. As for Boa Hancock, her pretty face instantly became cold. She even thought that Lu Chen was here to tease her on purpose. Lu Chen knew it was hard to believe. In fact, only a stubborn guy like Luffy would trust him unsuspectingly. Lu Chen was not surprised by the reaction of the Empress and others. It's useless to talk too much. As long as you enter my fantasy and take a look, you will know that what I said is true or false. Fantasy. Lu Chen's Mangekyo Sharingan turned, trying to pull the Empress directly into the illusion. As a result, Boa Hancock's face changed greatly and he broke free again. You want to confuse your concubine. Boa Hancock's face froze. Feeling Lu Chen's pupil power again, she has come to understand. The power that Lu Chen exerts is also the power of charm. Moreover, Lu Chen's power of charm seems to be sharper than hers, and it can directly invade the mind. However, this kind of charm does not seem to be very strong. As long as the mental power is concentrated, it can break free. Seeing this, Lu Chen's eyes flashed with a hint of helplessness. It's not that his illusion is not strong, but the object he uses. A strong conqueror's hockey like the Pirate Empress is obviously also extremely strong in spirit. So if you want to pull it into the illusion, you can only cooperate with her actively. But obviously, the other party is not willing to cooperate. Not only was she unwilling to cooperate, the Empress even suspected Lu Chen's purpose. Red-eyed Lu Chen, you really have bad intentions. Saying so, Boa Hancock's face turned cold. First of all, Lu Chen's words are very unbelievable. After completing the training plan, you can become a top powerhouse. Even if her strength is not too far from the top powerhouses, is it incredible? Certainly. The most unbelievable thing is Lu Chen's ability. If you have to be controlled by his eyes and enter some kind of illusion before you can gain power, that would be ridiculous. What if she was controlled by Lu Chen? Instead of giving her strength, Lu Chen used it to subdue her. If this is the case, wouldn't it be equivalent to her being caught without her hands? In both cases, no matter how you think about it, the latter is more likely to happen. Of course, more importantly, you don't have the strength of a top powerhouse yourself, how dare you say such a thing? Boa Hancock glared at Lu Chen with beautiful eyes. At the same time, the eyes of her two younger sisters, as well as Margaret and others were also wrong. There is indeed a big loophole in Lu Chen's words. The top powerhouse is not so easy to achieve. The most important thing is that Lu Chen himself does not have the power of this level, how can he let others reach this level? Lu Chen suddenly burst into laughter. What can I say so that you can believe me? Boa Hancock snorted coldly. If you can defeat your concubine, you may believe it yourself. Hearing this, Lu Chen suddenly looked strange. All right. Having said so much, in the end I have to be tough. However, his mouth escape was not useless. When he defeats the Pirate Queen, he should be able to gain the trust of the other party more easily. That being the case, that's not much to say. Lu Chen's eyes turned, and his body suddenly showed extraordinary momentum. Boa Hancock's face froze. The mother-in-law and the others were stunned. Although Lu Chen does not have Conqueror's Haki, the aura he exudes at this time is still frightening. You all stand back. Boa Hancock's two younger sisters, their faces sank, but they were not timid, but moved forward and attacked Lu Chen. But the fastest are Margaret and others. Aware of Lu Chen's hostility, these defenders of the country immediately pulled their bows and arrows. Shish. A large number of arrows shot towards Lu Chen. Among them, there are many arrows wrapped around armament Haki. But at this moment, a strange scene appeared. When those arrows hit Lu Chen, they went through a weird hole. That way, it's as if all the arrows have failed. But in their eyes, most of those arrows clearly hit Lu Chen. What? How is this going? Margaret and the other soldiers were stunned. The two younger sisters of the Pirate Empress also took a moment to move forward, and they obviously did not know what was going on. Yesterday, my mother-in-law's face changed slightly, and her heart was full of warning signs. It was at this moment that a coquettish shout sounded. Backquote. You all stand back. He's not something you can handle. 95. It's Boa Hancock. At this time, Boa Hancock's pretty face was solemn, and he took another step forward. No matter what Lu Chen said just now, whether it is true or not. But one thing is for sure, Lu Chen's strength is very strong. In Boa Hancock's view, Lu Chen does not have the strength of the top powerhouse. But it was definitely not something that Margaret and others, or even her two younger sisters, could handle. Pirate Empress, it seems that you also know something about me. If that's the case, then there's no need to test anything. Lu Chen grinned, and while restraining Kamui's power, he immediately activated another ability. At this moment, his Mangekyo Sharingan slowly turned, and the huge chakra swept out. Air fluctuations. It was at this moment that an astonishing scene appeared. The azure chakra rose up on Lu Chen's body, and slowly outlined a huge figure. Susanoo. This monster-like figure was covered in azure blue, with a ferocious face, and the surface of the body was covered with a layer of seemingly hard armor. Its size is huge, so is the giant family. Hiss. What is that? 99. So scary. 35. Seeing such a situation, Margaret and the others suddenly changed their expressions. The mother-in-law and the Empress's two younger sisters suddenly became frightened. From that huge blue figure, they felt a strong danger. At the same time Boa Hancock's pretty face also instantly became extremely dignified. She recognized the huge figure at once. During Summit War, when Lu Chen faced Sengoku, he cast it once. But it was also that time that shocked all four. Because that huge blue monster figure was able to shake the golden Buddha that Sengoku transformed into. Chapter 354. The Caught Hancock. But even so, Hancock did not want to suppress the idea of surrender. HMPH, don't think this will make the concubine submit. In her beautiful eyes, an unyielding light flashed. The fighting spirit is even stronger. As one of the 7 warlords of the sea and the only empress of the serpents, Hancock is not that weak. Her long legs slammed on the ground, and she jumped into the air, spreading her hands like a bow and arrow. A huge red heart appeared between the hands, swelling as Hancock pulled them apart. Then, countless arrows like Cupid's arrows flew out from the heart. Arrow of Aroma. Having already seen Lu Chen Susanoo's powerful Hancock, he chose to use a long-range attack for the first attack. Lu Chen smiled slightly. That's a good idea. I know that Susanoo's abilities are too powerful, so do you specifically use ranged attacks? He paused for a while, but the tall Susanoo raised his head sharply, and waved all the fragrant arrows in front of him flying. At some point, a black, circular fly-like hand was caught by Susanoo. Almost without aiming, Lu Chen casually threw it in the direction of Hancock. The shuriken that was as tall as a person turned into a black hurricane in midair, scraping everything around it fiercely. The moment 130 scratched from Hancock's side, even Hancock, who was currently one of the top 7 major forces recognized by the pirate world and a headache for the world government marine, still felt a little palpitations. The female snake people of the snake people even widened their eyes in astonishment. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Oh my god, what kind of attack is this? Just with a wave of it, it has the power of a hurricane. My lady Empress, are you alright? What kind of power is this? Compared to the size of its giant clan, this calamity-like power is the most frightening. Yesterday, the two sisters, the mother-in-law and the Empress, looked at Lu Chen in front of them, and suddenly felt a sense of powerlessness. How powerful is this man, the master? As expected of a strong man who held most of Marine's combat power by himself in the Summit War. The man who can't solve even Marshal Sengoku's golden Buddha in a short time. For a time, the minds of the mother-in-law and some snake people changed a little. With such a powerful strength, Lu Chen, if he can become the trainer of the Empress, making the Empress even stronger would be a good method. After all, ACBD, Empress is the only woman in one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Unlike Hawkeye, who is alone, unlike Gecko Moria, most of his subordinates are corpses and souls, and unlike Doflamingo, who will abandon his subordinates at will. The existence of the snake people has greatly restricted the Queen's play in the pirate world and the marine site. If he can get training to make Hancock stronger, the future of the snake people. The mother-in-law wanted to understand this and wanted to persuade Hancock. Hancock, Lu Chen Sang's strength is very strong, not to mention he is on the Straw Hat Boy's boat. If you can really improve your strength, you can try it. However, Hancock, who escaped Lu Chen's casual blow, was furious. The blow that Lu Chen underestimated just now, as if he didn't regard her as an opponent at all. Such contempt reminded Hancock of the contempt for himself and his sisters by those high above celestial dragons at the celestial dragons. Why can't women be strong? She wants all men to be obsessed with her, and even die for her. Her sturdy figure jumped in midair, and her long black hair was raised high, like a black waterfall. The two pairs of long legs slammed into the air and slammed into Lu Chen like a 10,000-ton boulder. Perfume femur. Susano raised his arm again to block it, and a violent explosion and vibration sounded from his arm. A blue, stone-like arm fell from the air. Lu Chen's eyes froze. Hancock was able to turn the Susano made of chakra into stone. Now, a figure appeared in front of Lu Chen. There was excitement on Hancock's face. Although this blue giant is as powerful as the warriors of the giant clan, he can even conjure strange and powerful weapons from his hands. But it also has a huge weakness. Release her body. As long as Lu Chen can be defeated, the blue giant will disappear by himself. No matter where you are a liar, turn your concubine into a stone statue. Hancock tapped his toes in the air and twisted his waist. He kicked Lu Chen's chest fiercely. Million tons. Perfume femur. All the snake people raised their heads one after another, and the mother-in-law also held the crutches tightly. But the mother-in-law is not worried about Lu Chen, but about the Empress. Hancock, be careful. One foot fell. Hancock went straight through Lu Chen's body. The snake people exclaimed, "It's this trick again." Another trick that suddenly became illusory. I don't know at all when Lu Chen became illusory, and I don't know at all when he will become reality. Snapped. Lu Chen pinched the Empress's slender ankles. No one could imagine how these slender feet possessed such powerful strength. You, let go of your concubine. 35. The Empress, who had never been treated like this before, had a hint of shame on her face, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't break free from Lu Chen's hand. Hancock, naughty children will be punished. A smile appeared on Lu Chen's face. He let go of his hands, but Susano, who had regained his hands, lowered his head and opened his palms to grab Hancock. Suddenly, Hancock was tightly grasped by Susano in the palm of his hand, and Susano was unmoved by how the Empress struggled. B***************, D, what do you want to do? Never try to bully your concubine. Hancock was ashamed and anxious when he saw that he was pinched by Lu Chen in such a humiliating gesture in front of the entire snake people. Hancock's sister and the snake people of the snake people were also anxious, grabbing weapons and rushing towards Susano without fear of death. Let go of the Empress. Let go of our sister. 35. You are not allowed to hurt her. The snake people are excited. Only her mother-in-law could see that Lu Chen had no ill intentions in catching Hancock. She stopped the impulsive snake people and stood at the front alone, looking at Lu Chen in the sky. A man who claims to be a trainer, you came all the way to find Hancock, shouldn't you kill us and plunder our wealth? 99. Hancock lost, we promised to train, you can let her go. Lu Chen smiled slightly. No. Chapter 255 The Empress was spanked in public. Quote question mark quote. Quote exclamation mark. 35. The entire snake race was shocked. They looked at Lu Chen who was aloof in horror, but tightly clenched the weapons in their hands. If Hancock takes any damage, even if Lu Chen is comparable to Martial Marine, they will definitely risk their lives to charge up. Even the mother-in-law was stunned. She never thought that Lu Chen, who had sincerely invited Hancock to become the opponent's trainer and promised to make Hancock a strong man, was now unwilling to let go of Hancock. When my mother-in-law looked up and saw Hancock's struggling graceful body, a bad thought suddenly flashed through her mind. Could it be that this strong man named Lu Chen also took a fancy to Hancock's body? She widened her eyes for a while and sighed. All her expectations for Lu Chen all came to nothing. Looking up at Lu Chen, her mother-in-law's face showed disappointment. This pirate, my snake people are willing to pay any price, I just hope you let Hancock go and don't hurt her. She looked back at the women of the snake clan, and gritted her teeth. As long as you can let Hancock go, even if all the women of the snake clan are committed to you, it is not impossible for us to agree. Standing in the air, Lu Chen, a big question mark slowly appeared on his head. What the hell is this? Glancing at Hancock next to him, he immediately understood. All right, it seems that he was misunderstood. He grabbed Hancock, definitely not because of some yellow thoughts in his head. This is because he wants to do something else. Hancock, now I will be your trainer. You dared to attack me just now. I must teach you a lesson now. Lu Chen snorted coldly. Susano placed Hancock flat and turned his butt to Lu Chen like a child. And this cold man raised his palm. Hiss. In an instant, a bad idea flashed across everyone's heart. When my mother-in-law saw this familiar gesture, a ridiculous look appeared in her eyes. Is it possible? This man want to teach the Empress a lesson and spank the Empress? That's right. Lu Chen just wanted to teach Hancock a hard lesson, but Hancock is one of the great beauties in the pirate world after all. Lu Chen couldn't do this kind of thing. But spanking is always okay, right? It can also have a very good disciplinary effect. Now, Hancock also found out what Lu Chen wanted to do to herself. Her face turned pale on the spot, she bit her lip shyly, and struggled even more. You can't humiliate your concubine like this, sister, the compatriots are watching from below. 39. Reaching out to hold Hancock's two restless feet, Lu Chen raised his slap. Sorry, I'm a trainer. Snapped. The slap landed on Hancock's buttocks neither light nor heavy, and the thin silk cheongsam couldn't stop the soft and tender feeling at all. A crisp sound resounded through the sky. Well. Hancock's body went limp, and his whole body slumped in Susanoo's palm. His whole body was as soft as mud. The snake people were shocked. Hancock's two younger sisters were also shocked. The mother-in-law lowered her head helplessly, but there was a hint of happiness in her eyes. Hancock buried his face in his chest, his eyes full of shy humiliation. This man is a devil. In the sky, one of Shichibukai, behind the Empress Hancock. Lu Chen looked at his palm in surprise. Hey, this feel, QQ bouncy, softer than jelly, almost the same as water. This has to be a few more slaps. Lu Chen couldn't hold back for a while, and slapped dozens of slaps. The damage is not high, but the sound is quite high. Don't say it. If you listen carefully, it sounds pretty good. The snake people stood sluggishly, holding the weapons in their hands. Either on or off, it doesn't feel right. Hancock's two sisters also stayed. The elder sister was insulted, they should avenge her now. But it's just a spanking. If you really want to work hard, it doesn't feel worth it. What's more, they can't beat it. The mother-in-law has silently covered her eyes and can't watch anymore. Forget it. As long as people are okay, isn't it just being spanked in public? Who hasn't been beaten yet? Just hope Hancock can stand it. In the sky, the dignified pirate world, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, Hancock, the empress of the snake people, is crying so hard at the moment. Zero. Ask for flowers. Even if she was bound as a slave by celestial dragons, she felt no humiliation at the moment. Lu Chen, you devil. She cried and said, my concubine will kill you under my perfume femur for the rest of my life. Wait for me. 35. Lu Chen looked serious. I'm not a devil, I'm just an ordinary trainer. Of course, you can also call me, Red Eye. After comforting the empress who broke the defense a little, Lu Chen asked again, how is it? Now let me be your trainer, you should be convinced. Hancock wiped his tears and glared at Lu Chen. Then listen to your training plan, and when I gain more strength, I will definitely kick your head off. 5.0. There can't be that day. Lu Chen smiled. If you don't do something well during training, your asterisk will suffer. Ah you. Hancock's face was startled, and his face turned even redder. Lu Chen didn't say anything more. If Hancock becomes his training object, he will also grow in the training process. When Hancock's strength increases to the target level, the system will also reward him. This reward will definitely increase his strength several times. Hancock wants to use his training to get stronger and then use it to beat him. Simply delusional. Recovering Susanoo, Lu Chen and Hancock fell before the snake people. The snake people all have complex expressions. Hancock's cheeks were as red as blood. Only Lu Chen looked indifferent. He looked at his mother-in-law yesterday, and other members of the snake clan, and said lightly, next, I will help you train your empress and make her stronger. And I will also spend some time here. If there is any interruption, please bear with me. 35. Disturb. The queen has been spanked by you, who else dares to say no to the snake people? The mother-in-law was speechless. She stood up first, but only glanced at Lu Chen lightly, then turned and walked forward. Lord Red-Eyed, come with me, I'll take you to where you live. After Lu Chen left, all the snake people gathered around. In particular, the 2 younger sisters also joined the nearby factory. Chapter 256 The Future Direction. Sister, that man, Hancock's second sister, the yellow-haired Boya Sandersonia silently glanced at Lu Chen who was leaving, with murderous intent flashing in her eyes. Why don't we order everyone and let this man be buried on Snake Man Island? The rest of the snake people nodded. Yes, I agree. I agree too. Boya Sandersonia's third sister, Boya Marie Gold with green hair raised her weapon. She brooded about Lu Chen spanking her eldest sister's asterisk. No, Hancock shook his head. Elder sister. Anger flashed in Boya Sandersonia's eyes. But Hancock insisted. She looked at Lu Chen, who disappeared after her mother-in-law and disappeared on the hillside, and said slowly, this red-eyed Lu Chen is a member of Lord Luffy's ship, and he even helped Lord Luffy succeed during the Summit War. Saved his brother. Fire Fist. Ace. 99. At that time, I saw that Lord Luffy's strength is much stronger than when I met before. 99. I think, maybe this is all due to the red-eye trainer. We cannot act rashly. Hearing Hancock's words, the rest of the people fell silent. Boya Sandersonia and Marie Gold looked at each other, both of them showed helpless expressions, and could only temporarily give up the idea of killing Lu Chen. Sister, then let's go next. Let's listen to his training plan first, if it can really enhance his strength, then wait until the training is over. Hancock clenched his fists tightly. Although she is one of the 7 warlords of the sea, she is the weakest among Shichibukai in terms of strength. She was able to get Shichibukai's status and Marine's attention. It is entirely because of her own beauty and the charm bonus caused by Paramesh's sweet fruit, which has a considerable influence in the world. It is precisely because of this that Hancock has an anxious desire for his own strength. Especially after Summit War, seeing that Luffy had grown so fast in a short period of time after leaving him, Hancock also wanted to strengthen himself quickly. But Hancock knew he couldn't do it on his own. Therefore, after hearing Lu Chen's plan, her thoughts became extremely strong. Hancock looked at the others. So let's just wait and see. Marigold nodded. Under the order of the Empress, the snake people also dispersed. Lu Chen, who followed her mother-in-law to a residential house, walked into the hot spring in the house alone. The hot spring is really comfortable. Lying in the hot spring water, feeling the refreshing sensation of the hot air spraying on his body, Lu Chen rarely smiled. Taking advantage of the time to relax, he thought about the pirate plot in the future. The original plot was, in Summit War, although Luffy rescued Ace, when leaving, Akainu was angry and shot at Luffy from Marine's face. In order to protect his younger brother, Ace blocked the punch with his body. Just like his father, Roger, the Pirate King, died under the watchful eye of Marine and pirates. Luffy had a nervous breakdown on the spot. Was rescued. The others also left. In order to become stronger, he started 2 years of crazy training. But now, Ace was rescued safely by them. Marine was disgraced, and Sengoku must be the same as before, due to overuse of the fruit powers, and the failure of the Summit War responsible for resigning as Marshal Marine. Akainu becoming Marshal Marine is an unstoppable thing. Presumably the Marshal Marine who believes in justice, the first thing he did when he took office was to arrest me with all his strength. Lu Chen covered his face with a towel. During the Summit War, he threw up a lot of trouble for the future Marshal of Marine. I'm afraid I've already been on Akainu's must-kill list. But Lu Chen was not afraid. After all, Summit War messed up Marine and even changed the world to a certain extent. The Straw Hats just want to find the legendary One Piece, and they don't have much desire for power or wealth. Those vile pirates who really covet world power and wealth, like Blackbeards. They're the ones Marine wants to tackle the most right now. However, Lu Chen is also very curious. What is the legendary One Piece treasure, a treasure that only exists in the mouth of One Piece Roger? But it caught the world's attention. He wasn't the kind of guy who wanted to be emperor. But curiosity about unknown treasures is enough for anyone to initiate exploration. It doesn't matter. Improve your strength first, and then go down step by step, to the final destination. I will definitely be able to see One Piece. Lu Chen slowly sank into the water. Sudden, 2 slippery things emerged from the bottom of the water and fit together with Lu Chen. Lu Chen jumped out of the water and almost summoned Susanoo. But when he saw that there were actually 2 beautiful-looking little sisters from the snake race, a trace of consternation flashed on his face. What are you doing here? The 2 little sisters of the snake people glanced at each other, and they all flashed a hint of shame. My mother-in-law said that Lord Red-Eyed is a distinguished guest, and Lord Empress is the leader of our snake people. Unless she voluntarily, please don't think too much. If we need to serve, our 2 sisters. Stop, stop, stop. Lu Chen felt that his head was getting bigger. I remember when he was in Summit War, facing Akainu's lava, he smiled lightly. In the face of Aokiji's ice, but so. Faced with Kizaru's flash, it's just a little harder to catch. Not even Sengoku's golden Buddha could make him take a step back. But now, he really felt that things were very difficult. Go out, I can wash myself, don't come in the future, don't send anyone here. 95. Ah this. The 2 snake human sisters glanced at each other, a little aggrieved. Lu Chen was too lazy to talk nonsense, showed Susanoo's 2 hands, and threw the 2 sisters out of the room. The cry of the 2 sisters flew farther and farther in midair. Lu Chen sat in the hot spring again. He took a deep breath. It seems, in addition to training to increase his strength, he has to prevent some other things. My lord, the 2 snake human sisters were rejected by Red Eye. On the hill, 3 huge snake tails swayed in the air, revealing a ferocious snake head. Oh, I see. On top of the hill. Hancock looked at the room down the mountain, but turned to leave. It seems that she still needs to think of other ways. The next day, before Lu Chen finished eating, Hancock came over. Red-Eye, when do you start training? Hancock asked eagerly. The 257th chapter Petrochemical Ability, the Empress who refused to charm. She has been eager to know what kind of strength she can exert, and now she is really eager to see that kind of incomparably powerful battle, that kind of suffocating killing. Lu Chen finished his breakfast slowly, and then looked at Hancock in front of him. Don't worry, start now. Years. Now, look me in the eyes. Between the words, Lu Chen's eyes have slowly turned red. A powerful spiritual force turned into an illusion, pulling Hancock into another world. Quote. Hancock was about to say something, but was stunned by the scene in front of him. This area is very empty, but it doesn't seem to exist. She can feel every corner of the world with only her own feelings. And look around. In this world, there are strange formation gates everywhere. There is a strong aura behind those doors. Hancock only felt it for a moment, and his body shuddered involuntarily. She could feel the aura hidden behind those doors, each of which was comparable to any strong person in the pirate world. There are even some doors, and the breath is like nothingness. But O2 just touches it lightly, and you can feel the power behind it. If the masters of these powers come to the world of pirates, I am afraid it will definitely be a disaster for the pirates. Hancock looked at Lu Chen in surprise. Is the guardian of these powers the man in front of him? Who is he? How did he do it? He has such terrifying power. Hancock was so shocked that he forgot what he should do next. All right, Hancock, we can go out. Hearing the voice, Hancock came back to his senses, and then saw that Lu Chen was standing in front of him, looking at him with a smile. Hancock came to his senses, his cheeks a little hot. Let's go. Lu Chen turned around. Hancock quickly followed Lu Chen's side, and followed Lu Chen all the way to the front of those doors. However, Lu Chen was talking. The power of charm, the power of petrification, there is. He waved. The seals of 2 doors in the sky were opened. 2 creatures fell from it. One is the legendary snake-haired beauty, Medusa. Medusa is a powerful snake-body beauty in Western mythology. Although she is beautiful, no one can look at her. Because as long as you see Medusa's eyes, no matter who the other party is, even Medusa herself, will turn into a lifeless stone statue. The other one is Yumeko Snake, a very charming female character from the Abyss of Crazy Gambling. If compared with Pirate World, she doesn't have much dazzling ability. It can even be said that it is just an ordinary person. But it is such an ordinary girl who possesses a natural and fatal charm. Whether it's in the anime or in reality, people who see her can't help but be attracted by Yumeko Snake. Even if they knew that Yumeko Snake was a deadly poisonous apple, many people would take a bite without hesitation. Lu Chen thought very simply. Medusa can train Hancock's petrification ability, and Yumeko Snake can train Hancock's charm. After a brief introduction, Lu Chen looked at Hancock. Can you think about it? Which one do you want to choose? Medusa. I choose Medusa. As soon as Lu Chen finished speaking, Hancock said impatiently. She looked at Medusa with a snake body and hair, and her eyes revealed a kind of envy and obsession. Lu Chen was a little surprised. You choose Medusa, are you sure? Although Medusa looks good, her snake scales, snake body and snake hair make her look dangerous and hideous. In contrast, Yumeko Snake, who completely enhances her beauty and charm, looks better. He thought that Hancock would think about it for a while, but who knew that the other party would choose Medusa directly, and Mungza Snake didn't even look at it. Hancock didn't speak, just nodded heavily. For her, Medusa's ability is the real power. If she can fight with strength, she doesn't want to use her beauty and body to win respect. If you can get Medusa's training, you can truly occupy one of the Shichibukai with improved petrification ability, instead of reluctantly protecting the snake people completely relying on your own charm and world influence. This is the most important. Hancock's decision was firm, and Lu Chen couldn't say anything more. If that's the case, then Medusa will be handed over to you. Lu Chen stretched out his hand, and the legendary god in the west, the snake god who had a cameo in various comics, turned into a ray of light and fell into Hancock's body. And in his ear, the sound of the system also sounded. Ding, the training object has been drawn up. Close black lens bracket. Training object. Snake Island Empress, Boa Hancock. Training goal. To acquire the petrification ability of Medusa's eyes. Training plan. Use pure petrification power to petrify 100 large Sea King's creatures. Close black lens bracket. Looking at the training plan, Lu Chen fell into contemplation. Petrify 100 large Sea King's creatures with the power of petrification. This training goal is a bit difficult, and the marine creatures in this world are not only Sea King's creatures, there may also be some tyrannical sea monsters. If I don't strengthen the training, I am afraid it will be very troublesome. Thinking of this, Lu Chen couldn't help frowning. Looks like I'll have to find a powerful Sea King's creature to use to train Hanku's 130 grams charm ability. In his heart, the images of several powerful marine creatures flashed. First, there are sea dragon-like Poseidon creatures. They are far more powerful than the average Sea Kings. Even in the world of pirates, they are all overlords. If the Poseidon among the super ancient weapons can summon the Poseidon creature of the sea dragon class, I am afraid that the world government will tremble. So far, nothing can withstand the direct wrath of a sea dragon-like Poseidon creature. Even naval headquarters gets headaches. If Hancock can petrify the sea dragon Poseidon creatures, then the other Sea King's creatures need not worry at all. Not to mention the mere humans. How's it going? Seeing that Lu Chen didn't reply for a long time, Hancock was a little anxious. Lu Chen raised his head and smiled at her. To get Medusa's petrification ability, you need to use your petrification ability to petrify 100 large Sea King's creatures. I'm just wondering if the difficulty of this task is enough for you to complete. This. Hancock was surprised too. 100 large Sea King's creatures, is this Lu Chen's training plan? This is crazy too. No, maybe it shouldn't be called a training program. Rather, it should be called a trial. Thinking of this, Hancock's heart suddenly had a hint of excitement. Chapter 258 Battle of the Empress Alone. She couldn't wait to see if she could complete this task in a short period of time. Seeing the excited expression on Hancock's face, Lu Chen shook his head. He knew that Hancock would definitely do everything in his power to accomplish this task, but it's too dangerous. Lu Chen wanted to remind Hancock, but when the words came to his lips, he changed his words. Forget it, you decide, as long as you can do it. Hearing Lu Chen say this, Hancock nodded excitedly. I will definitely do it, Hancock said confidently. Lu Chen didn't say much. Let's wait until Hancock does it. Anyway, this task is not so easy. Subsequently, Lu Chen took Hancock out of the room, and the two left Snake Man Island together. Take the 9-snake pirate ship and take the snake people to the depths of the sea. When Lu Chen brought Hancock to the island, the underwater creatures on the island were shocked. Undersea creatures are hiding, but some undersea creatures are indifferent. There are even some more powerful and aggressive sea creatures who see the big ships on the sea, showing great curiosity. Head down to the sea. You can even see a huge sea king's octopus, which is more than 100 meters long. Its figure is looming in the sea water. It is covered with scales all over its body. However, after Lu Chen found it, its aura became much weaker. Obviously, this sea king's octopus is not only powerful, but also cautious. Lu Chen looked at the big octopus and ignored it. He turned his head to Hancock and said, Hancock, you go and choose the sea monsters of the sea kings to train your training plan. It is good. Hancock nodded, walked directly to the side, jumped down, but jumped onto an island in the sea. Watching Hancock disappear into the depths of the island, Lu Chen's face also showed a look of hope. Hope she can actually do it. Lu Chen meditated a sentence in his heart, but he sent himself to another space and walked into the sea alone. I hope there are 1 or 2 sea kings here, suitable for my training plan. Otherwise, I have to go to other places to look for it. I am afraid it will delay my other things. Island. Hancock looked at the lonely island, and immediately released his powerful strength. Sea king's creatures are not the same as normal creatures. From the very beginning, they are full of wildness and aggressiveness, constantly looking for powerful creatures in the sea to fight and devour. As he grew up step by step, he became a guy who ran rampant in the sea, and even the strong found it difficult to deal with. So, if you want to find sea king's creatures, you don't need any tasty food. As long as you are strong enough, you can arouse the interest of sea kings. The Poseidon octopus that was originally underwater finally couldn't hold back. Especially the aura that made him feel scared has disappeared without a trace in the vicinity. It has nothing to fear anymore. Who? The sky is full of water, and in the sea in front of this isolated island, a huge blue island suddenly rises. No, it is not an island. That's the huge head of an octopus. 1, 2, 3, 4. 28 blue tentacles protruded out of the sea, like 28 pillars upright. What is even more frightening is that the octopus has 2 huge eyes, staring at Hancock. Rain falls from the sky. Like a huge rainstorm. Hoo. The octopus roared up to the sky, and its huge body slammed into Hancock. Hancock snorted coldly, without flinching, and flew towards the direction of the octopus. In an instant, 2 huge creatures collided. Boom. The whole earth was shaking, the whole island was shaking violently, as if it was about to collapse, and countless broken rocks fell, splashing dust. The sea was blown up and swelled endlessly. The tentacles were like steel whips, smashing on the island fiercely. Hancock's figure was like electricity, flickering between the rolling tentacles. Perfume femur. The slender feet kicked hard on the tentacles, and the petrification ability was activated. A small patch of tentacle skin turned into stone. The octopus let out a roar and smashed several tentacles with its backhand. As a last resort, Hancock could only kick with both feet and flash to other places. The tentacles in the sky collided and crushed each other, hitting the sky darkly, and the water vapor filled the air. The snake-human sisters on the boat in the distance looked at the rumbling island worriedly, as if it were thundering. They all wanted to help, but Lu Chen strictly forbade them. Only Hancock can fight alone. Regarding this matter, Hancock also told the snake people. Therefore, they can only watch helplessly. Long time passed. On the island, a violent explosion sounded. Subsequently, it was the piercing scream of an octopus. Sizzle. The octopus was struggling underwater in pain, the blue scales on its body fell off in large areas, and the body was densely covered with gray petrified areas, like a terminally ill patient with Madara spots growing on his body. Hancock stood panting on the island. The empress, who always maintains a noble and elegant appearance in front of the public, is also very embarrassed at the moment. The expensive cheongsam was torn apart by the whip, revealing the skin inside. But this scene is definitely not tempting. Because of the huge power of sea kings, even if armament hockey was used, there was no way to completely resist the all-round force blow without dead ends. But the octopus is definitely not feeling well. More than 80% of its skin is covered with petrification. The octopus is forced to move, and the petrified skin begins to crack slowly, dripping. The octopus stared at the human in front of him with its non-petrified eye. It did not expect that this human being would be so difficult to deal with. But now, it will never run away. What is the difference between sea kings who have lost their competitive heart and ordinary sea creatures and those who are used as food by humans? Although the octopus suffers, it still maintains a strong desire to win. It continued to attack unwillingly. But, each of its attacks was easily fended off by Hancock. Final claw. With a painful roar in the sea, the octopus was completely desperate. Instead of attacking, he lay on his back in the sea, his body twitching constantly. Looking at the dying octopus in the sea, Hancock frowned slightly. It seems that my training effect seems to be good. Hancock muttered. Chapter 259 Invitation from Kid. On the island. The Empress stands proudly in front of the giant sea king's octopus. Although the cheongsam on her body has been completely broken, the graceful white jade-like body is covered with black and purple scars, and the skin in many places is cracked and blood is flowing out. Although his face was full of blood, Hancock's heart at this moment was as proud as the rising sun in front of him. She finally defeated the enemy on her own strength. Rather than relying on the temptation of beauty and body. Roar. 99. The octopus, which seemed desperate at first, roared furiously at this moment, forcing the pain of the skin bursting all over his body, and the remaining 8 tentacles lifted high, smashing Hancock down. The Empress was terrified and wanted to escape. But the previous battle had consumed too much of her strength, not to mention. No one could have imagined that the octopus had a tentacle that seemed to have lost its strength for a long time, and it rolled up in an instant at this moment, grabbing the enemy who was almost seriously injured in front of him, the snake human Queen Hancock. A cold light flashed in the octopus's eyes. It can become sea kings, relying on more than just strength. Comparable to the wisdom of human beings, it is the biggest 130-hole card that it has grown from a small octopus to sea kings. Now, this powerful woman in front of her will also become the food for it to become stronger. There was a look of despair in Hancock's eyes. If she hadn't chosen Lu Chen's training, maybe she wouldn't have encountered such a crisis. Does she regret it? At this moment, her thoughts turned 1,000 times in her heart. While being a slave at Celestial Dragons. When pressed with a burning brand like a Celestial Dragon's toy. When I brought my 2 younger sisters to Snake Man Island and became their only emperor. And also, encountering the eternal and infinite hope, blocking the mark of Celestial Dragons on your back. And those red eyes. Like a moment, like 1,000 years. At this time, Hancock actually laughed. She has no regrets. If she chooses again, she is still willing to work hard to obtain the petrified power that Lu Chen said only exists in legends. As long as she succeeds, she will no longer be the Empress of Shichibukai who can only rely on her charm. Just she failed. I'm sorry, Lu Chen. Hancock smiles with desperation. Just the next second, in front of her eyes flashed a figure of Lu Chen. Hancock was stunned for a moment, but smiled bitterly. Why do hallucinations still occur at this time? However, a low drink rang clearly in her ear. Susa, Nengu. A giant blue giant, like a blue plastic bag, blocks the Poseidon octopus. The face of the Poseidon octopus, which was originally bound to win, showed a roar in anger that fell short of success, and all the remaining tentacles turned into frenzied giant whips and smashed the enemy in front of him. Susanoo blocked all attacks with ease. Looking back a little at Hancock, who was covered in bruises, Lu Chen nodded. Unexpectedly, Hancock, as the Empress, was more determined than the monster he imagined. She said that she would use petrification power to petrify 100 Sea King's monsters. She actually only used petrification skills to attack. This lady is great, Lu Chen thought to himself. The octopus in front of him was still roaring. Lu Chen glanced at the octopus, but 2 black kunai darts appeared on Susanoo's hands. Just now, I want to eat grilled octopus. He sighed, and kunai instantly shot the octopus. A burst of soaring flames enveloped it on the spot, roasting it from the inside out in the blink of an eye. Lu Chen landed on the island and reached out to support Hancock. Are you all right? No. All right. Hancock paled and shook his head. Lu Chen's expression changed suddenly. I saw blood spilling from the corner of Hancock's mouth. How? Your ability, is it too heavy a burden for your current body? No. Hancock ACBD shakes his head. It's just that I used too much just now, and my body couldn't take it anymore. Do you need a break then? Hancock shook his head. She wants to get Medusa's petrification ability quickly. Lu Chen didn't speak. He stretched out his hand and released one of the Sea King's sea dragon creatures he had caught. The moment these creatures appeared, they roared wildly and charged towards the 2 of them. Hancock's face changed. I think I'd better take a break. With a wave of Lu Chen's hand, 100 Sea King's sea dragon creatures immediately disappeared from sight. This made Hancock let out a long sigh. This Lu Chen is too scary. For the training plan, he actually caught 100 Sea King's creatures. No, he is more terrifying. Those 100 Sea King's creatures, even the most powerful sea dragons among the Sea Kings. This man obviously doesn't look very strong, but what is the strange ability he possesses? Hancock couldn't help but wonder. Hurry up and rest, and continue to fight the Sea Kings later. Lu Chen walked over to the octopus, chopped off a large piece of octopus tentacles with Susanoo, and started grilling on the beach. The scent immediately caught the attention of many people. Same. It also attracted malicious people. A pirate ship sailing on the sea came in a hurry. What was depicted on that boat was the flame pirate flag of Eustace Kid. A man wearing a cyberpunk style, with windproof glasses on his forehead, and always with an arrogant smile, drove the pirate ship to the coast. Seeing the huge octopus, he let out a whistling. Brothers, come and eat together. Buffet. Super big octopus. I'll start first. Kid jumped out of the boat unceremoniously and landed on the huge octopus. He rudely cut off a large piece of meat and grilled it on the other side. A large crowd flocked to the island. It seemed a little crowded. Originally eating, Lu Chen put down the octopus meat, and looked at the members of the kid pirates who were eating and drinking all around, and did not consider themselves outsiders at all. He wasn't angry. Just food. He is not Luffy. But he was curious about Kid's destination. He slowly said. The second most evil generation, Eustace Kid, with a bounty of 315 million Bailey, when you arrived on Snake Man Island, are you planning to go to the next place? Seeing Lu Chen greeting him, Kid wiped his lips without hesitation. His metal wrist twitched, but in the end, he held back. That's right. Kid smiled and said, I know you, red-eyed Lu Chen, the trainer on the straw hats. He took a bite of the octopus meat, which was delicious and juicy, and said while eating, the straw hat has left with his brother now, and everyone else is looking for a place to practice. You, a trainer, have nothing to do. How about you? Do you want to get on my boat? I will give you half of the harvest from the looting in the future. Chapter 260 Kid Full Training. Lu Chen glanced at Kid. His eyes were a little puzzled, he really didn't understand why this guy invited him. Tell me why you invited me. Lu Chen asked. Kid heard the words and laughed. The reason. We know, Lu Chen, the Straw Hat Boy and the others are so powerful, it's all because of your training. Lu Chen raised his eyebrows slightly. Kid laughs loudly and is extremely flamboyant, and no longer hides his purpose. The Straw Hat has developed second and third level abilities. Zoro's 2 weird black knives with gaming abilities. Usopp, a sniper with super magic shooting ability, uses various noble phantasms to snipe. Having incomparably terrifying foot skills, like a dazed cook Sanji. And also, Kid said all the people on the Straw Hat boat, who had been trained by Lu Chen and became stronger. Then, he stared at Lu Chen and cracked a mouth of bright white teeth. The Kid Pirates, also want to be trained by you, I hope you can make us stronger. Oh, Lu Chen picked up a piece of tender octopus, put it on an iron stick, brushed it with sauce, and tasted it. A satisfied expression appeared on his face, and then he showed contemplation. You know, my training plan is quite difficult. When Zoro wanted to get Kaden Kyokutsu's ability, but he fought and defeated a 500-meter head. The Sea King's creature. Hiss. Really? The people in the Kid Pirates showed shocked expressions, and even forgot to eat meat. 500 meters of Sea Kings. It would be better to have them face Marine Admiral directly. Even Kid, who proposed to let Lu Chen board the boat to train them, couldn't help showing a hint of horror. Before he came, he had already thought that Lu Chen's training plan might be difficult. But what he didn't expect was, this training program is so hard. This is not difficult to describe, it is simply sending people to death. Only by struggling frantically on the brink of death and survival can he gain such a powerful strength in a short period of time. The horror on Kid's face turned into madness in an instant. He was laughing wildly. Isn't that exactly what I want? Seeing Kid so crazy, even Lu Chen was a little surprised. This guy, the reaction was so intense, it was different from ordinary people. As if seeing Lu Chen's doubts, Kid grinned, revealing snow-white teeth. If you want to gain powerful strength in a short period of time and live with the danger of dying at any time, isn't this something you must experience? Lu Chen was silent for a moment. Good guy. This guy's consciousness is so high. In this case, I can try to help him. Lu Chen put down his chopsticks. He said in a deep voice, I promise you that I can help train you. It is good. Kid shouted happily. But Lu Chen raised his head and looked at Kid, but the matter of getting on the boat is exempted. I am a member of the Straw Hats boat, and this will never change. Kid scratched his head with his big magnetic hand. Originally, he wanted to persevere, but seeing Lu Chen's determined eyes, he could only sigh deeply in the end. Okay, since that's the case, then the people on our ship, I'll ask you to train. Kid bowed his head to thank Lu Chen heavily, but when he raised his head, he muttered, what is so good about the Straw Hat Boy? There are not 10 people on a boat, and he has to do everything himself. My Kid Pirates have more than 300 members alone, and I can find someone to serve me in whatever I want. I just don't understand, why don't you come to my boat? Looking at Kid's distressed appearance, Lu Chen smiled, but didn't explain much. Do I have to tell you that when he watched One Piece, he watched Luffy's line, I am the man who wants to become One Piece. But it doesn't make sense to say too much about it. Lu Chen put down the barbecue in his hand and looked at the people on the Kid Pirate ship. Okay, since you all want to accept my training, then come and stand in front of me. Seeing Lu Chen's order, Kid didn't dare to neglect. This wicked man, who Marine called, the second person of the wicked era, greeted the pirates in front of him like a dog's leg. Quick, come and stand one by one. 35. Kira, kick the gluttonous jig over, there aren't many opportunities for this to become stronger. 0. Ask for flowers. And you, Mo Shu, come here so quickly, stop roasting that octopus, and when you become stronger through the red-eye training, I'll invite you to the most luxurious barbecue restaurant for 3 days and 3 nights, and I'll pay for it. The 2 pirates were kicked over by a man wearing a blue and white mask. Less than a minute, the entire Kid Pirates Lu Chen stood neatly in front of him. Such a scene made the snake people in the distance stunned. The mother-in-law was so shocked that she opened her mouth wide, revealing the only tooth left in her mouth. That seems to be the second person in the era of extreme evil. Kids Pirates, what are they doing? Hancock's 2 sisters had already covered their mouths. Isn't it saying that Kid is a very arrogant pirate? As long as he doesn't want to do something, even if he does everything possible, he will punch the opponent in the face. 0. They're now lining up in front of Red Eye, standing straighter than Marine. Am I dreaming? The mother-in-law on the side suddenly stretched out her hand and pinched it, and the 2 snake men screamed. The mother-in-law nodded affirmatively. It doesn't seem to be a dream. It's just Kid and the others standing in front of the red-eyed adults. What are they going to do? The people of the snake people started to pay attention. Lu Chen didn't care so much. Because the Kid Pirates are not familiar with him, he doesn't care what kind of training plan these people will get. He was just helping out. Come on, next. Lu Chen shouted, and a pirate came up excitedly. With a flash of red light, the other party instantly entered an illusion. Lu Chen asked, tell me, what power do you want to gain? The pirate A, who doesn't know the name, smiled, I want the ability to obtain transparent fruits. 9. Lu Chen was taken aback. Man, how are these people like Shanks? But he didn't care, he waved his hand and gave a systematic customized training plan. Ding, the training object has been drawn up. Close black lens bracket. Training objects. Members of the Kid Pirates, pirate armor. Training goal. The ability to obtain transparent fruits. Training plan. Eat 10,000 caddies of stool regardless of race and category, the fresher the more successful the training. Throw the training plan directly to the pirate, and wave again to dismiss the environment factory. Chapter 261 Kid, Fullmetal Alchemy. Next, Chen said, but behind him came Pirate A's roar of pain mixed with happiness, joy mixed with tangle, anger mixed with anger, and anger mixed with pain. Pirate A stood there blankly, with a look of disbelief. He couldn't believe that he could really acquire the ability of a devil fruit through training. Even more unbelievable, the training plan turned out to be to let yourself eat 10,000 caddies of stool. That's 10,000 pounds of poop. 10,000 caddies, can't be eaten in a lifetime. Turning his head to look at the pirate armor with a twisted face, Chen couldn't help but feel a little funny in his heart. He forgot to tell the Kid Pirates. A systematic training plan is often proportional to the strength you want to acquire. Chen felt that even if he wanted to train a power that could destroy the world in the blink of an eye, the trainer system, 130, could help him formulate it instantly. But the task of the training plan must be extremely difficult. Of the kind that can never be done in this lifetime. But he didn't have the heart to explain so much to these people. As Kid said, what kind of hardships you have to go through if you want to gain strength. It depends on whether you can master one of these degrees. Continue. Chen looked at Kid in front of him, and his eyes were slightly taken aback. Kid, who is the captain, has only been lined up now. It seems that although Kid is a little more flamboyant on the outside, he still treats his subordinates very well on his own ship. Look into my eyes, Chen whispered, and the Mangekyo Sharingan in his eyes opened instantly. The world that Hancock had seen at the time unfolded in front of Kid in an instant, with countless doors of space, countless auras full of violence, destruction, and nobility. Circulate in this space. In such a scene, even Kid of the extremely evil generation has nothing to say. He could only look at the countless gates of the world in the sky in shock, and sighed in his mouth. I can't believe that you have such a powerful power. Is this the hidden strength of your red eyes? It's really scary. Chen was too lazy to answer him. These gates of the world dotted the sky like stars, and they looked extremely powerful, as if they could destroy the world in the next second. But he can only be transformed into a fantasy world. Unless he pulls the opponent into his fantasy world, the power of these summons will not be used at all. Okay, don't waste time, just say the power you want to gain. Chen said, but reached out and opened a door to a world in the sky. A black brilliance was summoned from the gate of the world and fell in front of the two of them. This is a black-clothed boy with blonde hair and a red cloak, but one of his hands and one foot are made of metal. Kid's eyes lit up. The boy's hands and feet, like his, were made of steel. But the opponent's steel hands and feet are completely different from the arms made of steel he absorbed. The blonde boy's hands and feet were as delicate as real hands and feet. It can even make exactly the same hands and feet as normal people. No, it even exceeds the sensitivity of ordinary people's hands and feet. Chen looked at the blonde boy in front of him, but introduced. This is Edward Elric of Fullmetal Alchemist. Even though he is only 12 years old, he has already obtained the qualification of alchemist in his area, codenamed Steel 35. Alchemy. Kid was puzzled. How does this sound like the crazy scientists at Vegapunk? Faced with Kid's question, Chen didn't bother to explain any more, and waved directly to Edward. Strong this kind of thing, it may not always be enough to say it. But as long as the trainer sees the other side using the power, they can indulge themselves. Edward glanced at Kid in front of him, and then looked at Chen. Chen nodded. Edward stepped forward immediately, the steel on his feet roaring. The man immediately flew up and shot the unsuspecting Kid like a rocket. This guy. Kid was taken aback and hurried back. Edward punched in the empty space. Ha ha ha, little brat, you want to attack me, it's just a dream. Just when Kid was about to fight back, Edward smiled at him. His fist in midair snapped. In the environment, the condensed street suddenly grew taller, protruding from a huge stone pillar. Boom. Unprepared, Kid was slammed into the chin by the stone pillar, and the whole person took off and landed directly. He retreated behind Chen on the spot. This guy, B*********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** mechanical steel attached to his right hand made a loud bang. A screeching sound like a kid's roar. Turn the steel into a huge mechanical hand, and press the opponent from top to bottom. Even if it's a red eye today, I'm going to beat you all the way to fine teeth. Bang bang bang. The speed with which Edward threw his fists was astonishingly fast. Kid shows no sign of weakness. But Edward's fights are quicker and more refined than the bulk of Kid's massive steel robotic hand. Just flashing past Kid's attack, the two fists turned into showers. One punch after another hit Kid's chest, causing him to back up again and again, spitting blood and flying backwards. At this time, Kid also reacted. The magnetic fruit of his own can be used more delicately, but it is used by himself as the ability to only absorb iron. It is also because he himself is very strong, otherwise he would have died when he first went to sea. Fullmetal Alchemist. Kid's eyes light up. This ability is unimaginable. Kid looked at Chen and couldn't help but feel a little scared. This red eye. Seeing that Kid felt the power of Fullmetal Alchemist, Chen did not embarrass him, but reached out and summoned Edward back to his side. The kid who came back also broke out in a cold sweat. He was overwhelmed. 1.3. I can't believe that there are people in this world who can use such exquisite fighting methods. It seems that I have to think about my future fighting methods. 99. It's not over yet. Chen glanced at the guy, reached out and opened another door. An old man with white hair, wearing a black cloak and a helmet on his head slowly descended from the sky. This is. Kid looked puzzled. He looked carefully at the old man who was summoned by Chen. Except for the more dignified expression on this old man's face, the whole person is indeed not much different from the ordinary old man. Maybe the helmet on his head looks good. This made Kid couldn't help but want to get a helmet and try it. But after Edward, who experienced Fullmetal Alchemist, Kid finally held back. Chapter 262 Magneto, Unparalleled Magnetism. The powerhouses that Chen summoned were not only powerful, but also possessed terribly rich fighting skills. They also possessed abilities that were incomprehensible to them. This made Kid wonder, who is this person in front of him? Now, Chen has already introduced Kid. This is Magneto, you can call him Lao Wan, his ability is similar to yours, and he can control metal. In my opinion, this guy is the most suitable for your ability. You can have a look. As he spoke, he untied Pharaoh's imprisonment. Edward of Fullmetal Alchemist fought with Magneto in an instant. It's just that Edward, the Fullmetal Alchemist who was able to knock Kid out with one punch just now, seemed a little difficult to deal with when he met Lao Wan. Lao Wan just raised his hand slightly, and the other party's steel-made hands and feet flew him into the air with him. Edward was just about to change the texture. Flying over in all directions, Kid smashed steel. These steels turned into an extremely strong steel cage between Lao Wan's wave. There was even a sharp scalpel formed in Edward's throat. As long as the opponent dares to do it, the seemingly inconspicuous knife will instantly kill Edward. Just in the blink of an eye. The battle is won or lost. Look, how, if it doesn't work, Chen said. Kid is now completely immersed in the power of these two people. He never thought that magnetism could still be used like this. Not to mention the alchemy's strange ability of Fullmetal Alchemist, just in case. Obviously they are manipulating steel, and the other party's behavior seems extremely smooth, even. Grace. Unlike him, he simply sucked the surrounding steel violently, and fought like a madman. How about, have you decided which strength to choose for training? Chen asked again. He saw that Kid's eyes were already full of fiery light, and he knew his mind was made up. I chose to do Magneto's strength training. Kid finally made a decision. Although Fullmetal Alchemist's powers are more fancy, he felt a familiar feeling in Magneto's battle. From the feeling in his body, he can detect it. Magneto's power is more in line with him. Very good. Then you can start now. Chen nodded. He knows that Kid is absolutely talented in this regard, but in the world of pirates, the power of magnetic fruit has been ignored by many people. After all, in this world, there are no four major forces of modern basic science. There is a saying how to say. Above the sea, anything can happen. In this world, there are too many things that can violate the four basic laws. Although there are scientists, very few people study the four fundamental forces, which are only physical power rules. This also means that the people here have little understanding of the magnetic fruit. It is no wonder that Kid obviously has many development capabilities of the magnetic fruit, but in the end he can only use it like a magnet to simply gather steel and output violence. Chen waved his hand. Edward the Fullmetal Alchemist disappeared into the world. The decent man, Lao Wan turned into a ray of light and disappeared into Kid's body. In Chen's mind, the system's voice also sounded. Ding, the training object has been drawn up. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket training object. Kid, captain of the Kid Pirates close black lens bracket. Training goal. To obtain the power of Magneto. Training plan. Use the power of magnetic fruit to extract iron from the blood of Sea King's creatures to make 100 small balls, 0/100ths. Seeing such a situation, Chen couldn't help but be slightly taken aback. Magneto's power to extract iron. Ore from the blood of the Sea Kings. This task given by this system. You say it's difficult, it's really very difficult, at least the first time Chen saw it, his expression fell into a strange state. But since the system is given, let's try it first. Chen easily threw the training plan to Kid and waved his hand to unlock the illusion. Anyway, this is Kid's own choice. As for whether he wants to try to complete this task, I am afraid no one can know better than Kid. FK, extract iron from the blood of Sea King's creatures to make 100 pellets. Quote. This, Raushi Kid was already mentally prepared, and even when he heard that his little brother on the boat even had a training plan to eat 10,000 caddies of shit, he was also mentally prepared. To extract iron from blood, 100 pellets must be made. Kid, who has always been arrogant and unrestrained, couldn't help reaching out and scratching his hair. FK, this is so terrifying too. Do you really get those incomparable powers? Kid is mired in self-doubt. Now, Hancock, who was resting, got off the 9 snake pirates. She has changed into a new Cheongsam. 2 feet of 1 meter 5, Bai Yingying's legs slowly walked past all the pirates. For a moment, all the men and women present did not hold back and swallowed on the spot. They looked at Hancock fascinated. This woman is so beautiful that they dare not look directly at her. Undeniable, although the sweet fruit can enhance the charm of the user, so that all creatures who see the user can fall into the madness of love. But the power of this fruit also requires the user's own charm, which is very strong. Aside from the influence of devil fruit, Paramesha's sweet fruit, even Lu Chen has to admit it. Hancock's charm is actually more attractive than she imagined. Especially at this moment, when she knew that she could gain the power of petrification and become Shichibukai. No, become the truly powerful queen of the snake people, her heart became even more arrogant. And this kind of confidence in her heart and body makes her exude a more powerful and unique power. To be frank, Lu Chen also began to understand a little why in the original plot, celestial dragons chose to let Hancock eat sweet fruit to add to the fun. Kid saw that Hancock was coming down, he hurried up to meet him, smiled and said, "Snake Empress, hello." Hancock smiled slightly, "Hello, the leader of the Kid Pirates." Her smile seemed to melt icebergs. Just a moment. The whole Kid Pirates' eyes flashed with love, and they rushed to Hancock, and they were about to worship. Even Lu Chen's training plan was forgotten. But Lu Chen didn't care about that, he had already looked at Hancock in front of him. Ready, the real training is about to begin. Hancock nodded. She put all her attention on Lu Chen, and her eyes lit up with strong confidence. Come on, this time, I will definitely succeed. Chapter 263 Fire Fist Ace is missing. Boom, boom, boom. A blank island. If anyone is here, there is a magical sight to be found on this small island. Far away, it was the 9-snake pirate ship of the snake people watching from a distance. All the elites of the snake people gathered on the boat. On the island, left, it is the former 7 warlords of the sea, the Empress Hancock, who is using her vigorous skills to deal with a Sea King's sea dragon creature that is more than 500 meters high and exudes a vicious aura. That Sea King's sea dragon creature is 100 times stronger than the original blue octopus. Perfume femur. Slave arrow. A series of voices sounded. Lu Chen grilled sashimi leisurely in the middle of the island. It's been the 3rd day. Facing this sea dragon, Hancock still had no good solution, and could only choose to grind slowly. The other side, Kid is facing a Sea King's creature. He just wants quantity, not quality. Gather all the biological blood of Sea Kings together, and then use the magnetic fruit to extract iron from it and turn it into 100 small balls. 3 days have passed, and it cannot be said that he has not improved. All I can say is that he made no progress at all. In his hand, there are 2 small iron balls. It's just that the iron ball is not as big as the dust that can be seen with the naked eye. Lu Chen is afraid that he will take a breath and the iron ball will fly directly. Kid is totally giving it up now. He sat directly on the island, thinking hard about the tons of blood in front of him. In the hand of the steel gathering, the magnetic force is released wildly. He frowned tightly. Obviously, I can feel a little magnetic response in the blood of these Sea Kings. But, why he just can't grasp that little magnetic response firmly? Need more and stronger magnetism. Kid keeps improving his strength. And around other places, many members of the Kid Pirate group are doing their own seemingly weird training. There are people who run wildly back and forth with a rock on their back. Have climbed a tree and imagined yourself as a bird. And in the face of a pile of fresh orly, I was confused whether to eat it or not. On the whole island, only Lu Chen looked relaxed. I really hope that among these people, there are really 1 or 2 people who can train successfully. If this is the case, my strength can also be enhanced by the way. When I enter the new world and enter the legendary flower country of Sakura, I don't have to be afraid of big snakes. And Kaido. Lu Chen took a slight breath. When I saw Luffy enter the flower country of Wano-kuni and Sakura and find Kaido, Luffy opened a violent output to Kaido on the spot. It seems that the onslaught is as strong as a tiger, but after a single operation, it is just to wake up the opponent. The last stick was knocked out, not to mention, and was put on a sea stone, forcibly digging stones for the other party. How miserable. Lu Chen ate a piece of grilled fish. But this time with him, the end of the Straw Hats would be so miserable. Not only does he now help Straw Hat Luffy through Wano-kuni's difficulties by training others. Even trying to figure out a way to get rid of the Kaido guy. I don't know how Straw Hat Luffy and Luffy's brother are now. He thought to himself. The most satisfying thing for Lu Chen at present is to save Fire Fist Ace. Now everyone knows that Fire Fist Ace is the chin child of One Piece Roger, which has attracted the attention of Big Mom and even some other big pirates. After all, everyone wants to get the treasure of One Piece. Especially the mysteries of the greatest world that are said to be full of endless wealth. Not only the big pirates are staring at this matter, even the big marine is also staring at this matter. After all, the current marine commander Akainu. Lu Chen thinks, in order to restore Marine's image and deterrence in the world. He will definitely try his best to get Ace back from Whitebeard's men, press it back to naval headquarters, and kill him in front of everyone. Fire Fist Ace, I hope that you who survive this time can gain stronger power and break into the end of the new world with your brother and Sabo. Lu Chen thought so. Fire Fist Ace was standing on the deck at the moment, but he was smiling and breathing the free air. Since a trace of energy was born in his body. And through the operation of energy, after the energy mask can be generated on the body surface, Fire Fist Ace knows that he no longer needs to hide in the room to cultivate, but can act like an ordinary person. It's such a comfortable feeling. Fire Fist Ace said with a smile, punching heavily into the air. A trace of flame turned into a ring of fire in midair. A fiery breath swept past. Although his appearance has not changed now, his skin and bones have been somewhat enhanced and upgraded. He could clearly feel it. Is this the strength of the trainer on my brother's ship? Ace himself felt very incredible, such training power, I am afraid that there are no pirates in the whole world. Backquote. My brother picked up a treasure on the boat. Quote. Ace sighed. He plans to ask Chen when he finds his younger brother in the future, if there is any training method to become stronger, and Dad's injury also needs to continue to enhance vitality. Ace, do you have any good news these days? Beside him, Marco came over and asked. As a phoenix using flames, he also felt the changes in Ace. Even because his undead flames possessed a more subtle soul power, he felt a fear of flames from Ace. Even the flames released were suppressed. Fire Fist Ace smiled and shook his head. No, but I believe, my brothers and sisters, we can meet soon. That's good, Ace, about that red-eye trainer, I'd like to meet too. Marco laughed. Fire Fist Ace smiled, and then, well, continued. How long does it take for our ship to dock? About half a month or so. Marco replied. The deal between him and Marine was only half a month old. During these days, I will train well. After half a month, I will be able to restore the fighting power of the heyday. At that time, I will definitely defeat that guy with my own hands. Fire Fist Ace said sternly. He was referring to Blackbeard. The man who betrayed his father and killed his brother. When he fought Blackbeard, the flame was almost swallowed by the darkness. But not now. He possesses the legendary Dragon Slayer magic claws. Not only the strength, but even the body is starting to slowly increase and change. Speak. The name of this dragon slaying magic is perfectly aimed at celestial dragons. In the world government, his bounty may have been raised again. Ace couldn't help but recall it in his eyes. I don't know how my brother is doing now. 260th chapters in a hurry after 2 years. 2 years later, Chen stood on the bow of the Nine Snakes pirate ship, looking at the distant sea line. 2 years have passed. As early as half a year after Kid approached him for training, Kid successfully extracted 100 iron pellets from the blood of thousands of Sea King's creatures. Gained the power of Magneto. And Chen also got the corresponding reward, Magneto's power to control the magnetic field. But the power he gained was the weakened version in the movie. Chen used it a little. Usually it's okay to pretend, but when it comes to fighting, he doesn't think Sharingan and Susanoo are as good. A year and a half ago, Hancock also successfully petrified 100 Sea King's creatures and obtained the petrified Eye of Medusa. The Empress now is more confident and more beautiful than she was 2 years ago. There was a natural pride in her. The breath on the body is also more condensed. But, the more arrogant Hancock looks, the more others are fascinated by Hancock's charm. Although she didn't want to use the charm of sweet fruit to improve her strength, her passive skills could not be avoided by 130. In the end, I could only reluctantly accept it. As for the power of Medusa's petrification, Chen got it too. Not as strong as Hancock though. Because Sharingan's power is too powerful, many powers appear extremely weak in front of it. Chen used it casually and put it aside. Our Sharingan fragrance. As long as his physique is strong enough, he can overcome the huge consumption and side effects of Sharingan, and with the assistance of some other abilities, he is completely worthless in the world of pirates. But, Chen touched his chin. From now on, it seems that everyone will use Haki, and in the future, we will face enemies who can use Haki. Sharingan's abilities require him to develop more to deal with future battles. At this moment, Hancock was standing behind Chen, and a trace of complicated emotions flashed in his eyes. Red Eye, are you really leaving? Chen nodded of course. He glanced at Hancock strangely. This is an appointment with friends. Luffy's tattoo on his arm 2 years ago is to tell us that we will see you in 2 years. Now that the time has come, ACBD, everyone must be on their way to the meeting. Hearing Chen's words, Hancock was rarely silent. After a while, she raised her head and said with a smile, Lord Red-Eyed, why don't I let the 9 snake pirates give you a ride? Give me. Chen thought about it and didn't refuse. After all, there is still a long way to go from Bubble Island. Although he can hide in the space and use his legs to drive, but why do you have to walk by yourself when you can hitch a ride? Hancock was relieved too. In the past 2 years, Red-Eye has watched her train her petrification ability, which can be said to be meticulous. From 1 Sea King Sea Dragon creature at the beginning, to 2 Sea King Sea Dragon creatures at the back, to 3, 4. The Red Eyes were watching casually beside him. Once there is danger, the other party will instantly take action, pull her into the space to save her life, and then take action to kill the runaway Sea Kings. Continue after you have rested. Sending him to Bubble Island is the only thing I can do for him at the moment. Rayleigh, bye-bye. On Daughter Island, Luffy happily carried a large bag of food and waved goodbye to the white-haired Rayleigh. After rescuing Ace, the two brothers had a brief reminiscence, and Whitebeard was rescued by Chen using the trainer system. Therefore, the entire Whitebeard pirates assemble. Ace was worried about Whitebeard's injury, so he left with the army. As for Luffy, he was pulled to Daughter Island by Rayleigh, threatening to give him a powerful power. Haki. After all, the next Luffy and the others will enter the New World. It was a new country that was difficult for marine forces to reach. There were countless strong people in it. Only Luffy, who had mastered stronger skills, could face the strong people of New World calmly. E King, thank you for the unique cooking you taught me. On E Island, Sanji drank a cigarette and lit it silently. He took a deep breath. The whole person seemed a little melancholy. The Ladyboy King shouted with a large group of Ladyboy sisters. Sanji, do you want us to send you off? Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. Sanji's whole body jolted, and he turned around and ran for hundreds of meters. No. No need, thank you. He really had enough of his days on E Island. Nami, Usopp, Franky, Zoro, and Chopper said goodbye to friends who had been with them for 2 years. One by one, they all set foot on the road to Bubble Island. Guys, here I come. When everyone expected the card to get a partner, another Straw Hat Pirates appeared on Bubble Island. Marine High Rise. Smoker is furious. What did you say? The Straw Hat Pirates who disgraced Marine from Summit War, appeared on Bubble Island. Send people. Send peace messengers, and they must be arrested and brought to justice. Smoker hurried out of the office with a weapon he had specially made of sea stone. As long as it is someone who breaks the law, he will never let them go. Bubble Island. Chen looked at the island surrounded by a huge bubble, and there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. Although he had seen the island here long ago. But when you look at it in front of your eyes, it is still different from what you see on TV. Simply put, it's more shocking. Falling into the island, all kinds of peculiar races come and go around, making Chen an eye-opener. Just as he was about to go to the center of the island to see if he could find the traces of his companions, he heard someone shouting loudly beside him. The Straw Hat Pirates are recruiting. The Straw Hat Pirates are recruiting. As long as you have special abilities, or you think you are good, you can sign up with our Captain Luffy. Our Straw Hat Pirates are a big pirate group with a reward of hundreds of millions. Now, in order to recruit more people, we are here to absorb fresh blood. Don't miss this opportunity, don't lose it again. Everyone hurry up and sign up. As long as the registration fee is 1,000 Bailey, you can meet our captain with a reward of hundreds of millions. If you are appreciated, you can get on the boat and follow us to the New World to find the huge treasure left by Roger. 1,000 Baileys, only 1,000 Baileys. Hearing this, Chen's face sank. The Straw Hat Pirates are going to recruit people, why hasn't he heard about it? Are the mates ready to abandon him? He just took 2 steps when suddenly he stopped in place with a strange expression, and patted his head. FK, I forgot to watch the show. Isn't this the group of guys who pretended to be the Straw Hat Pirates? Chapter 265 Bubble Island, Fake Straw Hats. Thinking of this, Chen immediately became interested. He really wanted to see what this group of people who pretended to be their Straw Hat Pirates looked like. I squeezed into the crowd and saw a pirate happily accepting the registration fee, carrying a bag full of Baileys. Follow the crowd to a bar. A burly man with a straw hat and a gun on his waist was sitting on the bar counter. A group of people sat beside them with respect and curiosity, each holding a full glass of beer, quietly looking at the legendary man in front of him. Monkey D. Luffy. There is reverence and adoration in everyone's eyes. This is the man who made a big mess at Naval Headquarters 2 years ago, rescued a captain of the Whitebeard Pirates, and made the whole Marine shameless. Ha ha ha, my Straw Hat Pirates are #1 in the world. Counterfeit B. Luffy was holding a wine glass, and his burly body swayed with the wine glass. The Whitebeard Pirates completely relied on us to rescue that Fire Fist ace. If it wasn't for Marine 3 admirals begging, then Marshal Sengoku promised to abdicate as long as I left him. I am afraid that there is no such thing as Marine in this world now. The crowd shouted in unison. Captain Straw Hat is awesome. Many people looked at this fake B Luffy with more fiery eyes. Chen on the side also watched with relish, and even ordered a glass of beer while drinking. This kind of hiding in the dark, watching other people fake your identity and brag about it, don't say it, it really feels like watching TV. A man was blown with blood by the fake B. Luffy, and immediately stood up from his seat. He looked at the fake Luffy with fiery eyes, and declared his allegiance loudly. Captain Straw Hats, I want to join the Straw Hats. I am willing to give my life for the Straw Hats. Oh, do you have any special abilities? Fake B. Luffy squinted and asked with a hint of malice. The man was stunned for a moment and said, I don't remember that there is that super red-eye trainer on our ship. It is said that he can formulate various powerful training plans according to the category of strength that people want to obtain. Only when he can complete it, he can obtain powerful strength. I do. Boom. A gunshot instantly shocked the entire bar. Bang. A corpse fell to the ground. The fake B. Luffy raised the muzzle and blew the gunpowder on the muzzle indifferently. He grinned and said, Brothers, I hope you can hear my request clearly. Our Straw Hat Pirates only recruit powerful guys, and some guys who are no different from ants don't need to appear in front of me. After speaking, he withdrew the gun and spat at the corpse on the ground with a displeased expression. Damn, it's so unlucky. The whole bar was occupied by panic, but Chen clearly saw that the fake B. Luffy worshipped even more in the eyes of those guys. Damn, what a bunch of mentally retarded. Chen was speechless. These guys must think that only vicious people can become big pirates with a reward of hundreds of millions. This fake B Luffy's behavior is perfectly in line with these bottom pirates' fantasy of the big pirates. But who knows, the real Straw Hat Luffy is a guy who likes to eat meat, is naughty and a bit of a jerk, and likes to solve things with his fists and his head physically. These guys, do you want to take care of it? Chen hesitated. These fake Straw Hats, at first glance, are very low-level guys who use their fame to swindle. Yi Xiaofeng is more advanced than them. Go ahead, drop the grade. No matter what, I feel uncomfortable. Lu Chen was still hesitating, but the fake B Luffy in front of him waved his hand and called out 4 people. They are fake Nami, counterfeit Usopp, counterfeit Chopper, fake Lu Chen, the fake B. Luffy drooled and introduced wildly. Everyone is optimistic. This is a member of our pirate group. See clearly, only such a person is fit to join our pirate group. Looking at the 4 Straw Hat Pirates, who appeared in front of him, Lu Chen didn't change his face even when facing Marine Admiral. It cracked on the spot. A bucket-shaped Nami, a brawny Usopp, a dog with 2 horns, a Lu Chen who suffers from pink eye, is skinny and coughs like a tuberculosis. Absolutely. Hee hee, Lu Chen sang, I can't believe that your image has more stories than your own. 35. 0. Ask for flowers. A soft voice rang in his ears. Lu Chen looked back. All I saw was a black long and straight beauty, wearing short shorts, a bodice showing her navel, taking off her wide sunglasses, and winking mischievously at him. Who isn't this Robin? Lu Chen is overjoyed. What about the other partners? Robin smiled at him. I don't know, I just came to Bubble Island, and at first I thought my friends were all here, who knows? She looked at the group of people who faked the pirate group, and the corners of her mouth seemed to be smiling. Obviously, she sat here for so long and didn't come out, she just took these fake pirates for fun. Lu Chen was speechless. Point 0. Emotionally, you just keep looking at the guy who has pink eye and is skinny like a stump and has tuberculosis posing as me, right? Lu Chen sang. Don't say it, you always have a calm and always rational look on your face, but you can't imagine that the other person pretending to be you. Before he could finish speaking, Robin couldn't help but burst out laughing. Lu Chen was speechless. What is this? Look at the imposter of Chopper, it's straight up a dog. I don't know how Chopper will feel when he sees it. Robin, let's leave. Lu Chen just wanted to ask Robin to find Luffy and the others, and suddenly felt that the surrounding atmosphere was not right. He turned back slightly and found that the people in the bar didn't know when their eyes fell on him. And the fake B. Luffy over there, fake Usopp, fake Lu Chen, fake Nami holding the fake Chopper, looking at him coldly. Lu Chen frowned, and suddenly had a bad premonition. He looked in front of him, Robin stepped back at some point, and among the others, looked at him with a smile. Lu Chen sang, come on. Good guy. Lu Chen didn't expect that one day he would be pitted by Robin. This made him sigh. Robin, you've changed. You are no longer the Robin who was serious about everything, attached to everything, and unsmiling. But, this made Lu Chen a lot more gratified. Robin at the moment is much happier than ever. Chapter 266 Friends, and Marine Smoker. This is the biggest meaning of the Straw Hats reunion. At this time, Lu Chen didn't seriously deal with the fake pirate gang. He waved his hand casually. Come here. Facing Lu Chen's casual attitude, everyone around was shocked. How dare he be so disrespectful to the pirates who offer a reward of hundreds of millions? Just looking for death. Fake B Luffy is even more popular. He pulled out the pistol from his waist and aimed it at Lu Chen's forehead. How dare you disrespect me? Do you know who I am? The counterfeit Usopp on the side quickly stood up, with a height of 2 meters, which was quite oppressive in this bar. He said angrily. You see clearly, this is the leader of the Straw Hat Pirates, the super big pirate with a reward of more than 100 million Baileys, Monkey D. Luffy. When we were on Bubble Island, 130 was to gather a lot of companions, and then go to the waters of New World together. When the huge treasure left by Roger, the Pirate King, is found, we can all get a huge fortune. You kid, what are you still laughing at? Sorry, I don't normally laugh. 99. Lu Chen endured for a while, and laughed again, but this time I really couldn't help it. Damn, how dare you laugh at us? 9. Fake B. Luffy was furious and shot out. The corners of Lu Chen's eyebrows moved, and Sharingan was activated instantly. At the moment when everyone fell into a hallucination, he directly bounced off the flying bullet. What a boring thing to do. 35. He turned his head, turned and walked out of the bar. Why don't you go and see where Luffy is and see how his hockey works? If it's good, I'll order one for myself. Lu Chen leaves. The hallucinations disappeared instantly. Everyone looked around blankly. Huh, where did that black-haired boy go just now? Robin hid his lips and snickered to himself. Unexpectedly, Lu Chenzang ran so fast, and thought that he, who has always been calm and serious, would attack all these fake guys. At this moment, a figure stood in front of her. Fake B. Luffy looked at the sexy Robin with a coveted face. He smiled, his eyes released evil light. This little girl, I think you are pretty good, do you want to join our Straw Hat Pirates? Robin put down his hand covering his lips. At this time, a wall of the bar collapsed, revealing a green-haired swordsman with 3 swords stuck in his waist. He looked at the confused people in the bar with a puzzled face, feeling a little speechless, and touched the back of his head. Strange, why am I here? Come on. Before Zoro could react, he covered his mouth with both hands and led him to run away frantically. After running 200 or 300 meters, the people in the bar reacted. Fake D. Luffy looked angry and shot frantically at the sky. Bring that woman back to me, whoever can bring her back, I will give him a first mate position on the boat. Hearing such a sentence, all the pirates were instantly excited. After leaving the bar, Lu Chen walked around the street casually. Just 2 steps away, he suddenly stopped. Because in front of him, there appeared a man with 2 cigars in his mouth, who was breathing clouds and mist all the time. Marine. Smoker. He carried 2 specially made seastone prongs on his back, and with his body that could transform into smoke at any time, he was more difficult to deal with than the average person. Especially when facing Lu Chen. After all, Lu Chen's main method is Sharingan. But Sharingan is in the smoke, but there is no way to exert his due strength. Just like in the original Hokage Ninja, the most classic Kakashi battle is not cut, the opponent is the Sharingan who blocked Kakashi with smoke. It's really a headache. Lu Chen rubbed his eyebrows. He didn't want to face Marine at this time. But Smoker stood in the middle of the road, like a thick wall. His eyes were fixed on Lu Chen, but he deliberately avoided his eyes. The trainer in the straw hats. Red Eye, Lu Chen. Smoker's voice was low, with a hint of excitement. I didn't expect to meet you here as soon as I went out. You should have a great effect on the straw hats. 99. Lu Chen didn't speak. He just quietly looked around, looking for opportunities. The other members of the straw hats, he still doesn't know where they are. If there is a fight now, the Marines here will definitely be attracted. He can only get out of here then. But now is not the time to leave, because if they want to go to the New World, they have to coat the pirate ship in Sabayati Archipelago, the Bubble Island. Only in this way can you dive underwater and travel through the ocean to the waters of the New World. The two just stood there. Depressed atmosphere. They are all waiting for the other party to take the first shot, or to reveal flaws. Just as the atmosphere was getting more and more oppressive and it was about to reach freezing point, Smoker felt someone attack on his feet. He hurriedly bowed his head and glanced over cautiously. All I saw was a little girl with ice cream, sitting on the ground crying. Part of the ice cream in her hand was evident on Smoker's trouser legs. Not good. Smoker suddenly thought of something, and his eyes swept over with eagle-like sharpness. The road ahead is empty. Only residents are haggling. Damn it. 35. His face sank. Unexpectedly, the members of the Straw Hat Pirates escaped. If it wasn't for this little girl, Lu Chen wouldn't be able to run away at all. Seeing Smoker's instantly ferocious temperament, and the little girl's father in a high-grade marine uniform, his legs went weak with fright. He stood in front of the little girl trembling, and said pleadingly, This lord, it's all my fault, please. Smoker exhaled a long breath of smoke. He bent down, reached out and patted the little girl's head, and put a stack of Baileys into the girl's hands. 1.3 inches sorry, uncle is blocking your way. Use the money to buy more ice cream, and treat it as your uncle's apology. The father next to him looked dazed. Smoker stood up and strode forward. Straw Hat Pirates, don't try to run away. On the bustling street, a man carrying a huge food bag was strutting down the road. Oops, this place is so lively. Luffy inquired about the surrounding situation with a look of joy, and his face was full of surprises. After all, he spent the past 2 years with the animals on the island, and he hadn't eaten the delicacies of the human world for a long time. It made him miss him for a long time. As for the partners, just like his meat, they are all guys who are worth missing. Chapter 267 Luffy, Nami, Sanji. As soon as he finished speaking, Zoro and Robin flashed in front of him. Luffy was taken aback, overjoyed. Zoro, Robin. Before the sound came out, the two people had already disappeared. Subsequently, a large group of pirates ran past him again, and they were all excited and roared loudly. Hey, what happened? 35. Luffy scratched his head suspiciously. He was a little unclear about the situation. Right now. Another green-haired man rushed forward with 2 random knives in his hands. Overjoyed again, Luffy reached out and grabbed the man. Zoro, I just saw you running over, why are you here again? The caught fake Zoro looked angry. Who dares to block my first mate of the Straw Hat Pirates, Roronoa Zoro Great Swordsman. Sweeping around, he turned his eyes to the boy in front of him, but frowned. Is it your boy who moved my hand? Seeing the appearance of the fake Zoro, Luffy laughed. Zoro, you are so funny, tell me, where are the other partners? How is our ship? Oh, too. The fake Zoro looked blank. What are you talking about? What other partners? What our ship? Seeing the appearance of the fake Zoro, Luffy took off the fake beard on his face and showed a big smile to the other party. Zoro, you don't recognize me after only 2 years. Your eyesight is too weak now. Fake what Zoro was about to say. On the street in the distance, 4 people walked by. Fake Luffy, fake Nami, fake Usopp, fake Lu Chen. And in the hands of the fake Nami, he also held the rope of the fake chopper. The fake Nami was smoking a cigarette and looked at the fake Zoro with a displeased expression. Zoro, can't you hurry up? Fake Zoro looked helpless. Someone is blocking my way. Fake Usopp wiggled his long nose, stretched his large chest muscles, and took a giant slingshot from his back. Someone's blocking the way. Just chop it. If you can't beat it, then let me kill him with this slingshot. What a big slingshot. Luffy didn't notice it at all. He looked at Usopp, who was more than 2 meters tall, and the slingshot in his hand that was comparable to a giant axe, and made an exaggerated admiration sound. He even approached and patted the other person's strong muscles, and said in admiration, Usopp, I didn't expect you to be able to grow again, now you are more like a man than before. In a word, the fake Usopp was immediately confused. He looked back at the fake Luffy and the fake Nami. Captain, do you know this guy? Fake Luffy shook his head. This kid is thin and dry, with no muscles on his body, and he looks like he will collapse when the wind blows. How could they know such a weak chicken? Luffy didn't know, and even got close to the other side. He looked at the fake Lu Chen like a tuberculosis, and looked into his eyes with a puzzled expression. Lu Chen, can't you take your red eyes back now? Why are they open all the time? It's so strange. 99. Then he squatted in front of the dog, the fake Chopper, with a serious look, and touched the other's dog's head. Chopper, your expression is so serious now, why is it the same as Lu Chen before? This kid. Fake Luffy's face lit up. The fake Nami spit out an eye and shook the bucket's waist. Cut it off, we're going to catch those two people who offended the captain. 35. The fake Usopp and the fake Zoro immediately raised their steel knives and huge slingshots and smashed them at Luffy. In the 2 years of study, Luffy, who has already mastered observation hockey, felt this attack instantly. His figure flashed directly into the air and landed on the roof, surprised. Why are you attacking me? Kill him. The fake Luffy took out a pistol and shot wildly at Luffy. Hey, we are partners. Luffy yelled aggrieved, turning his head and running away. He collided with another man. Lu Chen turned his head to look at the person in front of him, a little puzzled. Luffy. Seeing Lu Chen in front of him, Luffy was really pleasantly surprised. Lu Chen, ha ha ha, I didn't expect you to be so fast. You attacked me with other people just now, what the hell is going on? Forehead. Lu Chen thought about it for a while, and probably understood. This guy is probably treating the fake people as them. It's not suitable to talk here, let's find a partner first. 35. Thinking of Smoker, who was still chasing him, Lu Chen took Luffy to another place without hesitation. The other side, Sanji, who got off the boat, stood among the young ladies wearing various bikinis who came and went. He closed his eyes, calmly lit a cigarette, take a deep breath. Exhale deeply. Subsequently, the whole person jumped up, and huge pink peach hearts appeared in his eyes, and the whole person turned into the shape of love. Even moved to tears. Oh my god, I can't imagine that one day I will be able to get in touch with the real young lady, is this my paradise? 99. Woo, I'm so happy now. Ladies and gentlemen, here I come. 35. Sanji, who was caught in a huge excitement, rushed directly to the young lady in the crowd, but was kicked back by someone. A surprised voice sounded. Sanji, why are you here? A 130-year-old girl in a pale white swimsuit emerged from the crowd, Nami. At the moment, Nami's body and temperament are much more mature and hot than 2 years ago. Sanji had just been kicked to his senses, and once again fell into a huge love. Nami-san, can't think I'll see you again in my life, it's so good. He was about to pounce again, and was kicked in the face by Nami, which was a meter away. Nami looked disgusted. Sanji, you are no different from 2 years ago. Don't make trouble, we're going to find our partners. She put on pink sunglasses to hide the infinite yearning in her eyes. Also, our ship. Thousand Sunny. Speaking of this, Sanji also woke up. He quickly stood up and tidied his tie elegantly. Yes, we are going to find our partners. 55. Afterwards, he posted to Nami again, and said attentively, Miss Nami, I have learned a lot of new cooking methods and dishes in the past 2 years, and I will serve it to you when I get on the boat. 35. The two entered the crowd. After they left, a neat man with a treasured kabuto and a strange slingshot in his waist walked to the island. Usopp looked at the map in his hand and felt a little strange. I didn't go to the wrong place. 35 Chapter 268 The Powerful Marine. Looking at the map again, Usopp, who looked lean and powerful, instantly broke the defense. FK, the map is reversed. He quickly turned the map and looked at the upper right corner. The location of Thousand Sunny was originally here, but I didn't find it for a long time. He quickly disappeared into the crowd and headed to Thousand Sunny's location. Ha ha ha. Luffy, Chopper, Zoro, Sanji, Nami, Robin, Franky, let you all see the results of my current practice. After he left, a whole bunch of Marines also came to the island. Behind them, stood a group of cold-faced humanoid weapons. Peacekeeper. After 2 years of debugging, this bunch of Peace Guardians have reached a new height in strength, speed, and ability. Even in the face of some well-known pirates, a Peacekeeper can easily capture or even kill each other. Block off the whole island and don't allow anyone to go out. The Smoker, appeared in front of the group of Marines, and he shouted loudly, the Straw Hat Boys are on this one, this time, we must capture them all. Yes, everyone responded immediately. Some took the Peacekeeper to blockade the island, and some took the Peacekeeper to catch the pirates in the island. But Smoker personally led the team to find Lu Chen and the others of the Straw Hats. On a street, Chopper with a hat is holding a marshmallow in one hand, and his eyes are squinted into crooked appearance. Delicious, delicious, delicious. Woo woo woo, I haven't had such a sweet and delicious marshmallow for a long time. By the way, Luffy, where are they now? Never mind, let me eat 2 more before going to them. While Chopper was having fun, the crowd around him suddenly surged. Many people shouted. Everyone run, Marine is here. What? Marine is here. Chopper, who was still happy just now, panicked, grabbed the marshmallow tightly, looked left and right, and ran along the crowd. Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, where are you? Marine is coming for us again. His heart sank, and he buried his head and rushed forward. On a square in the island, Lu Chen and Luffy, Zoro and Robin were driven here by pirates from all directions. They didn't have time to rejoice when they met, but a group of people came out of the pirates opposite. Ha ha ha, I finally caught you. The burly counterfeit B. Luffy. Bucket Nami with a sullen face smoking a cigarette. Tuberculosis's red eye Lu Chen. Zoro with green hair and green face. Put Usopp in the crowd who uses a slingshot as an axe like a little giant. And the ruthless bulldog Chopper. Luffy looked surprised. Guys, I didn't expect you to get together. Lu Chen was speechless. Those guys are all fake. Okay, forget about the others, how do you think he's mine with that tuberculosis? Luffy turned his head to look at Lu Chen, then looked at the counterfeit product on the opposite side, with a serious face. Well, I think he is the real one, because his eyes are redder than yours. Quote. Exclamation mark quote. Lu Chen was powerless to complain. Emotions are what you rely on to remember your companions. Fake Luffy was impatient. He pulled out his gun in a hurry. Stop talking nonsense, you guys actually dare to despise us, the big pirate with a reward of hundreds of millions of Baileys. 39. Those who offend our dignity must die. Boom. A flame flew. The fake Luffy turned back with a bewildered look on his face. Who fired the cannon? I haven't given an order yet. 35. Click, click, click. A row of peace guardians, dressed in black with grim faces appeared in front of the group of pirates. The cold breath made all the pirates present feel suffocated. The pirates who were still aggressive just now hid behind the fake Luffy. Brothers, don't panic, I'm here. The fake Luffy shouted calmly. Then, he looked at the marine in front of him and roared angrily. You marines can see clearly, I am a big pirate with a reward of hundreds of millions of Baileys, Monkey D. Luffy. In the Summit War, I was the one who beat you to the ground. Your Marine 3 Admiral, and Marshal Sengoku, don't even dare to put a fart in front of me. Don't you want to be my enemy? A roar. The momentum of the whole pirate rose sharply. Listen, this is their leader. Full of hockey. The smoker who heard the shouting, and the cadres of CP0 all turned black. Summit War was originally a pain for Marine. Because of the Summit War, Marine's majesty on the sea was directly reduced, and the momentum of the pirates grew a lot. As a result, the pirates in the sea in the past 2 years are more crazy than before, and even many pirates dare to fight to the death when facing Marine, causing a lot of casualties. Especially the unrest within Marine. It made many bottom Marine soldiers panic. Damn it, this guy has to hammer him. There was a flash of anger in Smoker's eyes, and he was about to shout, surrender or kill. Don't bother to shout now. Directly swept the CPO cadres on the side, the other party immediately understood, and waved to let the peacekeeper rush into the pirate group. In an instant, as long as the pirates dare to resist, they will be hammered by the opponent one after another. Fake Luffy panicked on the spot. Damn, these marines are unreasonable, I am a pirate with a reward of hundreds of millions of Baileys, and they dare to shoot at me. Captain, let's run. The fake Nami turned around and ran without hesitation, not even the fake Luffy. These marines, they are really playing. 35. High in the square, the 4 good people in the straw hats who watched all this breathed a sigh of relief. Not having to deal with those garbage pirates really saved a lot of trouble. Luffy, however, stretched out his hand to Shade, looked at the square with great interest, and shouted happily, Lu Chen, Zoro, look, we run so fast in the crowd. 66. 99. Everyone was speechless. There is no such thing as a person with a fake identity in your mind, right? Boom. A fire exploded around the 4 of them. A peacekeeper had already stared at the 4 of them, and endless flames burst out behind them, boosting them like a rocket. A fist smashed the claw. The ground of the entire table exploded. He stood in the middle, a red light flashed in his eyes, and instantly swept across the 4 people in front of him. Identified. 99. The Straw Hats. Luffy, Zoro, Robin, Lu Chen. Execute the peace order. Arrest and bring them to justice. If you resist, you will be killed. Chapter 269 Peacekeeper. The 4 jumped up one after another, and Luffy pressed the hat on his head in surprise. Is this a bear? Wow wow wow, so handsome. He turned his head and exclaimed in his eyes. Wow wow wow, so many bears. You can see that lasers can be emitted from their eyes. Wow, a laser cannon will be fired from the mouth. Luffy's eyes flashed in the shape of a cross, full of envy, wishing that he would become a robot too. Lu Chen on the side was speechless. But there was not much time for him to think. Because one of the peacekeepers has rushed in front of him. This guy who was transformed from one of Shichibukai's, Raccoon Bear, and became the strongest fighting machine among Marines, did not hesitate or show mercy once he made a move. The moment he got close to Lu Chen, he opened his mouth and it was a laser cannon. Fortunately, Lu Chen's Kamui is always open at all times. The laser cannon passed through his body, and at this moment, his eyes were also dyed crimson, staring straight at the eyes of the peacekeeper. Fall into an illusion. The peacekeeper did not hesitate, and a dazzling red laser burst out from his eyes, which went straight through Lu Chen's eyes, and cut the square boulder behind him into 2 halves. Dodging away, Lu Chen patted his head. 130. Mothers. He was used to fighting against people, and seeing that the peacekeeper looked like a human, he used to use Sharingan to pull the opponent into a fantasy world to fight. The peacekeeper itself is a robot, without even intelligence, how could it be affected by the illusion? Think about it, he still summoned Susanoo directly. Isn't it power for power? But just after calling for a second, Lu Chen put Susanoo away again. Yes, it's been so long since nothing happened, he almost forgot. A year and a half ago, he acquired that skill, and if that skill is used against robots, it is simply a divine weapon. Although it only appeared for a second, Susanoo's huge and conspicuous body can be seen as long as he is not blind. The pirates below exclaimed in surprise. FK. The man in black above is the red-eyed trainer with a 1 billion bounty on the straw hats. Wait, isn't that kid the kid we chased just now? Quote. Quote. Unbelievable flashes flashed in the eyes of each pirate. The smoker stunned the pirates beside him with a single halberd, and Marine next to him hurried over to tie up the stunned pirates. He looked up at Lu Chen in the sky, took 2 cigars fiercely, and couldn't help laughing. Good boy, I couldn't find you after searching for a long time, but I didn't expect that when the peacekeeper came out, he forced you out. He activated the fruit ability, his body turned into smoke, and the whole person went straight to the sky. Red Eye, I must take you down today and put you at the bottom of Impel Down. A roar. Lu Chen looked down and his heart sank slightly. Smoker's smoke ability is really annoying for him. The smoke of the incarnation perfectly blocked his Sharingan ability. Not to mention, he doesn't have Haki yet, even if he summons Susanoo, there is no way to hurt this guy at all. This guy. Before Lu Chen could react, the opposite peacekeeper rushed over again. These robots are not afraid of death. Even if the head is broken, the chest is pierced, the limbs are broken, the neck is twisted. As long as they can still move and have energy, they will continue to attack the enemy without knowing how to stop. If it is completely immobile at the end, it can also be a high-intensity explosive, and the power close to the explosion is comparable to the blow of a strong person in the pirate world. I really can't help you. Susanoo, who had been hidden before, reappeared, 2 black windmill darts appeared in both hands, and threw them out at Smoker. Seeing Lu Chen throw a dart at himself, Smoker bit his cigar and let the dart go through his body. He laughed. ACBD boy, without Haki, you want to use this method to deal with those who are capable of natural fruits. Lu Chen ignored him and reached out to use Magneto's magnetic control. Although the pirate world has a powerful technological system, this technological capability is far behind compared to the world of the previous life. Especially in terms of materials. Steel. It is still one of the most widely used, hardest and most produced materials in the world. The Peacekeeper is a mass-produced defense law enforcement robot, using only possible steel. And as long as it is steel, it cannot escape the control of Magneto. Just the moment of raising your hand. The Peacekeeper in front of Lu Chen stopped stiffly in midair. The rocket launcher behind him released a lot of flames, but he couldn't advance even a millimeter in midair. Smoker has taken the opportunity to appear beside Lu Chen. Red Eye, let me down. He roared angrily, and the prong slammed into Lu Chen's head. If it hits this time, although Lu Chen's physique is not fatal, there will still be a brief dizziness. However, this short dizzy time was enough for Smoker to directly subdue Lu Chen with 100 consecutive hits. Now, Lu Chen is using the magnetic force to control the Peacekeeper, unable to escape his body into Kamui to avoid damage. The halberd is getting closer. Getting closer. Bang! An explosion sounded in the air, and a hurricane was created out of thin air. All the smoke in the air was sucked in by the hurricane. Smoker was stunned. The seastone spear in his hand was only 0.001 centimeters away from Lu Chen's head. But this 0.001 centimeters is constantly expanding. FK. Smoker couldn't help but utter a foul language, but it was too late. The smoke of his entire incarnation was all involved in the small hurricane, and his whole body was shattered. That's right. This was caused by the 2 darts that Lu Chen just threw out. Although this attack can't hurt Logia's Smoker, it can still be done easily by making him unable to condense his body for a short time. Logia's ability should be cracked by nature. Glancing back at the lonely seastone spear on the ground, Lu Chen pouted in disdain and continued to control the peace messenger in front of him. At the beginning, I saw Lao Wan pretending to be forceful in front of the screen, looking like a relaxed and leisurely scene, but when I used it myself, I found that this ability is really not that simple. You have to precisely control the magnetic force of every joint, every centimeter, to make the steel move as you want. Otherwise, just force big bricks to fly. But okay. As a user of Sharingan, his mental power is completely sufficient. Chapter 270 Guardians of Thousand Sunny. Less than 3 seconds. The Peacekeeper in front of him has completely turned into a small toy under the palm of Lu Chen. Then, he waved between hands. The Guardians of Peace who were fighting with others also froze in place. Less than a second. There are more small toys under Lu Chen's hands. 3. Go. He moved slightly. 4 Peacekeepers fell to the ground, and they fired at the people in front of them without hesitation. Boom boom boom. Boom. Boom boom boom. Boom. The 4 laser cannons were like plowing fields, dividing the entire area of pirates and marines into 5 areas. Everyone was stunned. The marines were even more terrified. What did you do? The cadre of CP0 looked at Lu Chen angrily, but could not hide the horror in his eyes. Peacekeeper is a powerful robot created by the scientists of Vegapunk in order to improve the ability of protecting peace and resisting marine. It is equipped with the world's strongest technology laser cannon, the most advanced technology laser scanning eye, and the most intelligent technology integrated computer. In this way, Peacekeeper can fully make up for the lack of strength of the bottom marine, unable to deal with some powerful pirates, and some pirates who are not afraid of death. Avoid marine casualties. It can be said, Peacekeeper is a proud work of world government. But now, this proud work was easily in the hands of a pirate master, and even became a powerful weapon in his hands. Laser eyes, laser cannons. All the weapons on the Guardian's body have no privacy in front of the man with red eyes. A weapon opened. Marine hid early. This time Marine was originally a small number, just to control the peacekeepers. But the pirates who gathered together were unlucky. Whether it's a big pirate or a little pirate. Under the plowing attack of the peacekeepers' laser cannon, Tong Tong turned into bright red meat sauce on the ground. This scene, even the most vicious pirate in this group of pirates, makes the scalp tingle. Oh sorry, they're out of scalp. Zzzz. The 4 peacekeepers were all overloaded and scrapped under Lu Chen's unrestrained use. Looking at the 4 peacekeepers that were scrapped and emitting white smoke, Lu Chen couldn't help frowning. FK. This is a fake product. It's gone after only a while. Bad review. Negative review is required. If the scientists at Vegapunk were here, they would have vomited 3 liters of blood on the spot if they saw that Lu Chen used the peacekeeper so violently, and finally thought the quality of the peacekeeper. Even Iron Man can't stand you doing this. Wrong. Peacekeepers seem to be men of steel. Forget it. Lu Chen. Looking at the blood of the pirates all over the ground, the 4 members of the Straw Hats looked towards the initiator. And no one said anything. Although these pirates are not strong, they burn, kill and loot in private, and do not know how many murders they have caused. To die is to die. They are pirates themselves, although they do not steal or rob, all the materials are sold for money by the treasures they find, and then Nami purchases them centrally. Or to help others, those people or countries donated. But how many pirates like them can there be? At least. None of these dead pirates can touch it. As for Marine who died accidentally. Sorry, we are pirates. Others asked this, but they wanted to ask Lu Chen where he was going next. Okay, it's time like this again. Lu Chen sighed helplessly and opened his eyes. Kamui Mangekyo. For a moment, the world around him is all within his master. Spreading out along his body, following the changes in space, he saw. Thousand Sunny. Lu Chen was shocked. After 2 years of waiting. It still stood there, just like the original, quietly waiting for the Straw Hat Pirates. The lion on the bow faces the sun, always showing a big smile. As if no matter what happens, it cannot be defeated. Lu Chen took back the Sharingan and looked at the others. I saw it, just. Before the words were finished, a large group of pirates and marines poured into the square again. All the pirate marines are going crazy. FK. Lu Chen exclaimed and took the crowd away without hesitation. Before leaving, he did not forget to reach out and prostitute 2 peacekeepers for free. Say something. Marine stuff, really useful. Zero katakana middle dot ask for flowers. The other side, Nami and Sanji managed to collide with Chopper in the impact of Marine. Yes, is that Miss Nami? Chopper hugged Nami tightly, crying with tears in his eyes. Woo, Chopper misses you so much. Nami rubbed Chopper's little head distress-edly. I don't know why so many Marines have poured into Bubble Island, we must go to Thousand Sunny right now, and leave from here as soon as our friends arrive. Chopper nodded, and he jumped from Nami's arms to the ground, turning into a vigorous deer. Miss Nami, Sanji, I know where Thousand Sunny is, you follow me. 35. When Sanji and Nami followed Chopper to Thousand Sunny. Usopp, who followed the map, was in front of Thousand Sunny long before Marine started a riot. Ah, Sunny, I miss you so much. 33. The moment he saw the lion's head under his eyes, Usopp was so excited that he threw the map away, tears streaming down his nose. In his eyes, Thousand Sunny is the continuation of the Golden Mary. There is not only the infinite hope for the future voyage with the partners, but also the longing for Miss Maya in her hometown. He hugged the lion's head fiercely and kissed him. Looking at the empty Thousand Sunny, Usopp couldn't help but puff out his nose proudly. Ha ha ha, it seems that the first person to reach Thousand Sunny is Usopp after all. What did you say? Lying below the bow deck, Franky looked up, startling Usopp. FK. Franky. He stroked his chest fiercely, took a deep breath, and then asked, when did you arrive? Franky held a hammer in one hand, a nail in the other, and a few nails in his mouth. I arrived 3 days ago. Not only did the boat tidy up, replaced and replenished the supplies, but also took the time to give Sunny a comprehensive maintenance. Find someone to coat the film. Usopp looked shocked. Then, looking at Thousand Sunny in front of him, he couldn't help but sigh. Thousand Sunny is so lucky to have been here for 2 years without any damage. Jean, this place under your feet needs an overhaul. Franky said. It's not lucky, it's because someone guards it. Factory. Chapter 271 What the FK, what about Brook? Someone guarded the Sunny. Usopp looked incredulous. After all, everyone was forced to leave naval headquarters at the time, and no one could come back to take care of Sunny. He was stranded on that island and missed Sunny at first. But later, in order to survive in the jungle, I can only bury that yearning deeply in my heart. I thought that when I came back, the Sunny was either missing or damaged and needed to be repaired. He was so excited and surprised to see the intact Sunny. But never thought that someone protected it. Who's that person? Usopp looked puzzled. Franky stretched out after checking the last piece. Looking at the brand new Sunny, Thousand Sunny who can set off at any time, he has a solemn expression. Usopp, the person who guarded the 130 of the Wanli Sunshine, is the Bao-kun bear. What? It's him. Usopp's jaw dropped in astonishment. Franky glanced at him with a calm expression on his face. Although 3 days ago, Before he came to Thousand Sunny, he saw the raccoon bear who was the guardian of peace sitting in front of Thousand Sunny. His expression was much more wonderful than Usopp's. Usopp looked puzzled. Why is that? Ha ha, if I knew why, I would tell you. Franky shook his head and looked at the bubble island in front of him. Did you see any other partners? 35. No, I just thought of going to Thousand Sunny to see it first. Usopp shook his head, but Franky knew that Usopp probably thought the same as his boatman. He knew that Usopp had taken care of all the work on the ship before he even got on the ship. Including cleaning the boat, maintaining, repairing, replacing supplies, and even taking the time to help Nami make a weather rod as a weapon. It is also because of the existence of Usopp that the ship's spirit appears on the Golden Mary. But fortunately, now I have me on board, ha ha ha. Well, what did you say? Usopp looked back at Franky. It's nothing, nothing, look, aren't Nami and Sanji there? Franky waved his hand, suddenly looking into the distance. Usopp looked over with a smile on his face. Yes, it's Sanji and Nami, the blue-nosed deer in front is. Chopper. Usopp waved at them in surprise. Hearing the call of their partner, Chopper and Nami also got excited. Nami rushed into the boat and waved frantically. Usopp, help us block the people behind. As soon as Usopp reacted, he saw a large number of pirates appearing behind Nami Sanji. These guys rushed over without hesitation, and the momentum was enormous. Usopp gasped. Without hesitation, he reached out and took off the small slingshot on his waist, took out the kettle and poured water on it. I only saw that the slingshot, which was originally only the size of a palm, was rapidly expanded and enlarged under the moisturization of water. In the blink of an eye, he was half a person tall. Reach out from the cloth kabuto on the right, take out a few green seeds, and put them into the slingshot. Sanji, Nami, Chopper, don't be afraid. Look at how good my sniper king is. Bamboo kill. The green seed leaps 1,000 miles. It fell behind Sanji and the others and took root at the feet of the pirates. When all the pirates went up, Usopp turned his head dashingly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Roots of emerald green bamboos penetrated the human body in an instant, putting the pirates on the bamboo one by one. Usopp, I can't believe you are so good now. 35. Nami and Sanji were surprised to see Usopp take out a bunch of pirates in an instant. Chopper's face was full of admiration. Oh my god, Usopp, you are too good, this slingshot looks so fun. Before they were happy for long, a group of people appeared again in the distance. That's Luffy, Chen, Robin and Zoro. Nami looked at the 4 people who were running farthest, with a look of sadness on his face. Nami, Sanji, Franky, Usopp, Chopper, y'all are here ahahaha. Luffy looked at the 5 people standing on the boat and laughed happily. There is not a single partner. Thousand Sunny can continue sailing again. Luffy, you wait for me to save you. Usopp was about to repeat the same trick, but their faces changed. The number of pirates behind Luffy and the others is 10 times that of Sanji and the others. Among them are not only pirates, but also Marine, CPO members and several peacekeepers. These terrifying robots are not a simple zero. Let me. Franky roared and jumped straight to the edge of the boat. He pressed his arms tightly together, and his 2 wrists opened automatically, revealing the huge barrel behind him. The sharp-eyed Chen was taken aback for a moment. That's. Bow your head. Franky roared, and 2 beams of light burst out from the barrel of his wrist, converging into a larger beam in midair. Sweeping hard behind Chen and the others. All the pirates, marines, and even the guardians of peace who rushed into this ray of light turned into smoke in an instant. A time. Both pirates and marines stopped in their tracks. Good job. 35. Everyone was amazed. Franky was very happy. Ha ha ha, what I learned in Vegapunk is more than a little bit. Luffy, Chen, Robin, and Zoro got to the boat, and they all looked at each other with joy in their eyes. Everyone, finally here. Chen was relieved. Let's go, Sunny, go. Luffy waved his arms and couldn't wait to go to the next destination. This destination, they have been delayed for 2 years. Boom, boom, boom. A cannon blasted over, but it exploded on the surface of Thousand Sunny, and it was only a short while before Luffy and the others could be blasted. Far away, a white figure rushed over with 2 sea stone prongs. Smoker. After the hurricane stopped, it took him 1.3 minutes to recover his body. After finding his weapon, he couldn't wait to rush over. Seeing Chen from a distance, his brows jumped with anger, and even his blood vessels burst out. Red eyes, don't try to escape. Pity. Distance is too far. Not enough time. Straw Hat Pirates. Thousand Sunny. Meeting 2 years later. Looking forward to 2 years later. Luffy stood on Sunny's head, hands on hips, pointing at the distant sun with the other. He shouted loudly. Go. The huge sails hoisted up. A yellow straw hat, a white skull, and 2 crossed bones. They rushed to freedom. At this time, Chen suddenly asked a question. Did we forget something? Chapter 272 The Choice of Partners. Forgot what? The crowd fell silent for a while. Luffy swept around carelessly, and suddenly widened his eyes. Where's Brook? Cough cough cough. Everyone turned their heads in embarrassment. All right, everyone seems to have forgotten about Brook. Only Franky smiled and handed out a stack of concert tickets to the crowd. That ticket is gorgeously arranged. Above it is a well-dressed skeleton, kneeling and hissing on a lighted stage, holding a guitar. Although as a skeleton without vocal cords, no one knows how he hoards his voice. Everyone took the tickets and didn't know what was going on. Franky laughed. This was specially given to me by Brook. He is now a super musician, known as the King of Souls, and he was invited to the Fishman Island for his last concert. So his meeting was not on Bubble Island, but on the Fishman Island. The crowd understood. It's no wonder that Franky didn't stop everyone. The last concert. Chen looked at the music ticket in his hand with anticipation in his eyes. I haven't been with my partner for 2 years. 02 when he first entered the pirate world and obtained the trainer system, at that time, because he was isolated and helpless in a strange world, in order to gain strength, as long as he could train, he would try his best to train each other. Train. Acquire ability. Train. Acquire ability. Everything seems cumbersome and boring, and only the moment when the power enters the body, will there be a little excitement. But soon, the excitement was boring. Until the partners came alive one by one. Have you ever seen Usopp shoot with infinite swords? Have you ever seen Sanji use Night Guy to smash the bones of the sea beast with one foot and make soup for everyone? Have you ever seen Robin use the immature Buddha on the top to quickly green the place that was burned, killed and looted by other pirates to create a forest? And Nami, who uses lightning, finally chose the humble weather bar that Usopp made for her. It's like, now it's called the weather. Brook is even better. The power of choosing a Bone King at the beginning was the magic power that was obsessed with it. While the Bone King fights with magic, Brook is used to study how to play music and stage effects. I don't know how his research is going. Luffy, Zoro, Chopper. They have their own new paths, instead of blindly following the path given by Chen. Chen was angry at first. If you don't do what he says, how can you gain great power? But later, he gradually gave up. Although his power has not reached the peak of the world, in this world, self-protection is completely enough. Not to mention, not everyone is wasting their time. Everyone is doing what they think is the most meaningful, and their strength has never decreased. Even in the power given by Chen, he played more games that even Chen had never thought of. Later, even Chen joined in. From time to time, I use Sharingan to show everyone those movies in my memory. Seeing the partners exclaimed because of the Autobots in Transformers, and the soaring, powerful and kind-hearted mentality of the other side in Superman. He also quarreled over the thousand-bladed magic sword in Assassin Wu Luki, which seemed to be tattered, but only attacked but not defended, and the world is unparalleled. They laughed, moved, and wept. When Chen was lying on Thousand Sunny basking in the sun, next to the oranges grown by Nami to prevent everyone from scurvy, the faint fragrance spread into the nasal cavity. Usopp is working on his own gizmo. Luffy is pestering Sanji to eat barbecue. Chopper researches potions in the treatment room. Robin went back to the study to read ancient books. Nami calculates everyone's wealth in the finance room. Zoro also put down the cherished 3 swords, raised a huge arm stick, and waved it one by one. Franky had nothing to do, so he transformed his body. And he, in the sun. Do you have to fight every day? Isn't that kind of life tiring? The trainer system can make people gain strength, but cannot make people happy life. But a group of true partners can. Staying on Thousand Sunny, Chen felt more comfortable than ever. System. Feel sorry. I can have this, but I really don't have to use it. What the system can do, the partners can also do, but what the partners can do, the system may not be able to do. Brook's concert. Walk. Chen smiled and held the concert ticket tightly. This is Brook's dream, and now that the partners gather to set sail again, he will definitely join our adventure. 39. This is his farewell concert, not only to the audience, but also to his own dreams. 35. After this concert, the world will no longer have a music superstar Soul King, only a music-loving pirate Brook on the pirate ship. Let's go meet our partner together. Chen laughed. The others laughed too. They held the concert tickets tightly one by one and held them up high. Go and meet our partner, Brook. 99. The sun shines on the boat. Sunny was always smiling. The Fishman Island. Brook, who was preparing the song, nervously put down the mojito guitar, which was worth hundreds of millions of Baileys, and was custom made by the most powerful master of the double knuckles, only for him. There was a deep worry in his eyes. Even the most charismatic queen who has already stood at the top of world music will be eclipsed by his music. His music captivated countless audiences, shocked countless souls. And he has become more powerful because of this, and he can even feel the power of the ice cold in the yellow spring of hell. That's him. He is unmatched in music. But afraid. You say, my pals, will they come? Brook looked at the agent beside him, the worry in his eyes couldn't retreat for a long time. Even his brow bones were tightly wrinkled together. The closer he got to the farewell concert, the tighter his heart became. Although he has no heart. But he was really scared. He was afraid that when he stood on the stage, among the millions of audience members off the stage, he would not be able to see the faces he wanted to see the most. Luffy, Zoro, Chen, Nami, Robin, Usopp, Sanji, Franky, Chopper. Instead of going to Sabayati Archipelago, I chose to meet everyone at the Fishman Island. I don't know what everyone will think. Do you think he is not keeping his promises? Or do you think he does not value everyone's agreement together? It's just that he really loves music too much. 2 years of development, hundreds of millions of fans. He needs a good goodbye. Chapter 273 The Fishman Island, Destruction and Hope. Not just to yourself, and to the audience. He wants to tell everyone who loves himself and his soul music. I'm sorry, your idol is going to be a free pirate. He also has a captain. His captain is a man who wants to be the pirate king. And he will help this guy and become the legendary One Piece. Looking at the King of Souls who was invincible and godlike on the stage, now he is as uneasy as an abandoned guy. The agent danced his multi-jointed hands and said disdainfully, if they don't come, they won't come, and it's better if they don't come. Our multi-joint people will always be your partners, continue to hold concerts for you, and you will continue to use the ability of the King of the Soul to write songs that shake the soul. 5. Let's make money together, make big money together. Brook, we are on top of the world right now. The agent said eagerly. Brook shook his head. He was grateful to the agent, as well as the multi-joint Terrans. After all, considering the flexibility of multiple joints, the skilled craftsmen of their race are the most and most powerful. In order to give him the best sense of musical performance, they even gathered the best craftsmen to create the only soul mojito guitar in the world. The cost alone is as high as hundreds of millions of Baileys. Not to mention, there are also the clothes he wears every day, and the crutches in his hands, but there is an extremely sharp rapier hidden inside. But he prefers to sail on the sea with his friends. Travel through heavy storms and experience adventure stories. Even if he didn't get anything in the end, he was smashed in the face by the sea. But as long as everyone is still together, they will eventually look at each other's embarrassed appearance and laugh. Seeing Brook's determined appearance, the manager's face became solemn. As the King of Souls, Brook is a superstar in the music world, and can bring huge wealth to their multi-joint human race every year. The setup has quite a few powerful people who are kings on one side, asking the articulated Terran to sell Brook to them. They are willing to pay any price. But none of the multi-jointed humans paid any attention. But now, Brook, their golden cash cow is going away. Or to be with a bunch of poor ghosts, just to venture out at sea. To the R. The manager looked gloomy. Brook, are you really going to leave us? 35. Brook nodded. Only the thing agreed with the partner. No one can stop it. Those guys. The manager was very disdainful, but after glancing at Brook, he kept his mouth shut. You take a good rest. The manager, who turned his head and walked out of the dressing room, looked back at Brook, who was still worried, and a trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes. He strode out of here. After a series of bubbles, Thousand Sunny finally arrived at the Fishman Island. The Fishman Island is not on the sea, but on the bottom of the sea. And it exists because the surface is coated with a super huge water film, and the whole people live under the water. When Thousand Sunny entered the port, the water on the boat poofed and melted into the water film outside the island. The Murlocs were covered with water membranes like swimming rings on their waists, and they were swimming in the air as if they were in water. Wow, so this is the Fishman Island. Chen, who had already seen the plot, didn't feel anything, but the others were coming for the first time. For the Fishman's way of walking, his eyes are full of curiosity. Luffy's eyes are shining, and he can't wait to try it himself. Just as everyone looked around curiously, 2 startled breaths caught their attention. Luffy sang, Chen sang, and everyone have all come to Mermaid Island. Chen and everyone looked back. It turned out to be the mermaid Kami and Papagu who were rescued at the beginning. At this moment, they had a gentle smile on their faces, and they didn't feel the pain of being captured and hurt by humans in the first place. Ha ha ha, Kami, Papagu, I didn't expect you to meet you here. Luffy greeted the two with a happy face. Others were a bit cramped. At the beginning, they were all trying their best to complete the training tasks given by Chen, and even if they saved people, they didn't say hello. At the beginning, it was just a small thing that I did casually, and even after I finished it, I left without accepting my thanks, and I didn't take this matter to heart. Now people greet you happily, even showing gratitude and familiarity, but you don't know what to say in response. This is really embarrassing. Fortunately, Luffy has always been carefree and didn't care much about these things. Well, Chen, as a transpersonal person, the biggest advantage is thick-skinned. In addition, the person is handsome, and the temperament is there. With Luffy in the middle, after a little chat or two, I captured the heart of Kami, a simple fish girl. Backquote. Walk around. You must be the first time to come to the Fishman Island. I will show you around my home. Kami swims around them excitedly. Faced with the invitation of a beautiful fisherman girl, everyone has no idea of refusing. Not to mention, they are really coming for the first time. Even Chen, who has watched the anime, has intermittent scenes of the Fishman Island in the anime. What's more, when you watch anime, everyone is watching people, and who has nothing to pay attention to the background and the map. When Straw Hat Crew entered the Fishman Island, hidden in the Murloc King's palace, the crystal ball of the Murloc Wizard Prophet moved. A person appeared inside, and that person, it was the captain of the Straw Hats. Luffy, go and call the king. The prophet stared at the crystal ball with urgency and fear in his eyes. I have a premonition that this person will destroy the whole the Fishman Island. Let the king get rid of these guys. Yes, the waiting good bodyguard was about to rush out of the room, but was stopped at the door by a shout. Return. The Murloc guard looked back at the Murloc prophet, wondering why she suddenly stopped him. But he saw the prophet staring at the crystal ball with a complicated expression. Tell the king to treat the boy in the straw hat and the man in black beside him well. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. The fishman guard was stunned. Didn't you just want the king to kill them, Claw? You are a prophet. Is it really good to go against the grain like this? As if feeling the guard's gaze, the prophet coughed awkwardly. Although the boy in the straw hat will destroy the Fishman Island, the crystal ball shows that the handsome guy in black beside him will give the Fishman Island hope again. So, don't worry so much. The prophet awkwardly buckled the scales on his tail. The Murloc guard nodded silently, turned and left the divination room. Chapter 274 The Request of the Murloc King. Oh, the Fishman Island is so delicious. As soon as Luffy entered the fish city, his eyes flashed, and saliva flowed from the corners of his mouth. Meat. So much meat. The Fishman Island on the bottom of the sea, what is the most? That is naturally the seafood at your fingertips. Vegetables are also available. All kinds of kelp, seaweed, etc. on the bottom of the sea are placed in large piles, waiting for people to buy. In such a scene, not only Luffy, but Sanji, who is a cook, also has itchy fingers at the moment, and he couldn't help but want to show his cooking skills on the scene. Chen also walked down the street in a relaxed manner. As a human being, he has naturally seen a more prosperous shopping scene than this. Although the stalls of these Murlocs in front of him are luxurious, to him, they are not much different from roadside stalls. Just for him. It's been a long time since I've walked the streets as relaxed as I am now. How much is this? The Murloc in front of him saw the cold expression on Chen's face, and the handsome profile face made the stall owner of the Murloc sister in front of him blush. Just as she was about to say that there was no need for money, she saw a soldier rushing over from the other side of the street. Even the king is behind. 130 When she saw the man in black in front of her, the king's eyes were filled with joy. Hurry up, stop them. With a roar from the king, the soldiers stepped forward and surrounded Chen and Luffy. This little fish man's sister was so frightened that her face paled, thinking that something bad had happened to her. The fish people in the entire street stood there, staring nervously at the Straw Hat Crew people. What does this mean? Chen slowly put down the things in his hand. Look at the soldiers around you. He was a little confused, but his vigilance still made him activate Sharingan slightly. A bright red light overflowed around his eyes. Exudes a dangerous light. Zoro also pulled out Kaden Kyokutsu without hesitation, and the third knife was ready to be placed in his mouth. Do you want to fight? It must be me. 9. Franky laughed. Although I don't know what the strange situation is, for someone like him who loves adventure, the battle itself is enough to attract him. The Murloc King was also taken aback when he saw the Straw Hats in a defensive state. He stretched out his hand to block the soldiers, and said solemnly to everyone in the Straw Hat Corps ACBD, everyone misunderstood, I actually wanted to invite everyone to be a guest in the Murloc Palace. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Everyone was a little confused. Invite. Chen couldn't help but raised his eyebrows, watching the Murloc soldier's spear tip was only an arm's length away from him. He was a little puzzled. Your Murloc invitation is really special. However, looking at the sincere look on the Fishman King's face, everyone had nothing to say. Go. 35. Under the leadership of the Murloc King. When the Straw Hats just entered the Fishman Island, they were invited into the Fishman Palace for a banquet. But the thing that makes everyone a little suspicious is. Obviously Luffy is the captain, but the Murloc King seems to dislike Luffy. Instead, he was very friendly to Chen, who had a calm and vigilant face. This made the rest of the Straw Hats look puzzled. There were even whispers. Strange, how could this Murloc King be so nice to Chen? Yes, you see when he passed Luffy just now, he gave Luffy a cold look, as if he was very cautious about Luffy. How could this be? Obviously Luffy looks carefree and is the least threatening one. Every time Chen is calm and scary, it seems that he will destroy the enemy at any time. Yeah, that's weird. Luffy suddenly leaned over. What are you talking about together? Nami, Sanji and the others shook their heads and pretended not to say anything. Although doubtful, but everyone still came to the banquet. Various cherished sea creatures are randomly placed on the seats. There was also a group of Murloc ladies in two-pointed dresses who served at the side. Food plus beauty. No one else said, and instantly captured the hearts of Luffy and Sanji. The Murloc King must be a good man. Sanji and Luffy nodded together, expressing their affirmation of the king to the crowd. Hey, things haven't been settled yet, we don't know anything, how can you two be like this? 39. Nami was out of breath. Zoro also shows contempt for Sanji. A cook is a cook, and it's really useless to be able to buy a little favor. But the next second, a huge treasure chest was placed in front of Nami. This is a gift for the cutest lady in the Fishman Island, and I also invite Miss Nami to the table. A Murloc swordsman held a famous sword and handed it to Zoro respectfully. This is a famous sword work that I collected on the Fishman Island, and I also invite the great swordsman to come and enjoy it quietly. Zoro and Nami, who were sitting on the seats, affirmed to their comrades, the Murloc Kings are really good brothers, I attended this banquet. Before anyone else could reflect, Usopp, Chopper, Franky, Robin all got their favorites. Captured in an instant, Chen slowly entered the seat and looked around. He could see that these people had no ill will towards them. But the sudden concern made Chen feel a deliberate feeling. Could it be because of Brook? Chen couldn't help but dig deeper into the reason. After a little thought, he gave up. Shouldn't be Brook's reason. Brook has now become a singer and the king of souls. But he never revealed that he was a member of the Straw Hat Pirates. Not to mention, the king didn't even show the slightest intention to get to know Brook through the pirates. What is it because of? Lu Chen's mind was spinning fast. Of course he couldn't figure it out. Because even he doesn't know, the prophet of the Fishman Island has such power. Not only predicted that Luffy would destroy the Fishman Island, but also predicted that he would give the Fishman Island new hope. Besides, the Fishman Island prophet divination through the crystal ball, but also accurately know everyone's preferences. Never mind. They come, the security. Lu Chen took a deep breath and reached out to hold the wine glass in front of him. But he quickly put it back. Minors are not allowed to drink alcohol. He picked up the juice next to him and drank it. At this time, the Murloc King, who had just left, finally arrived slowly and walked to the main seat of the banquet. He has put on a solemn robe, and looked at the Straw Hat group in front of him with a serious face. Especially Lu Chen. There was a hint of urgency and pleading in his eyes. I hope you can coexist peacefully with the Fishman Island in the future. Chapter 275 Celestial Dragons in Pursuit of Shirahoshi. Quote question mark quote. No one thought of it. The Murloc King took great pains to drag everyone from the street into the palace. Even at the expense of a lot of money, everyone in the pirate group must stay at the banquet. Just to say something like that. Seeing the confused look on everyone's face, the Fishman King also sighed as a last resort. He reached out and called out the Murloc prophet. This is the prophet of our Fishmen Kingdom. She predicted that the Straw Hat Boy will be the culprit in destroying the Fishman Island. 5. Then he pointed to Lu Chen on the side, and the Red Eye and the Straw Hat Pirates will be the key to saving us the Fishman Island. Everyone came to understand. No wonder the Murloc Kings cost so much power. It turned out that things were so serious. But everyone looked suspiciously at Luffy, who was eating and drinking at the banquet, filling his mouth with suspicion. Just this guy, can he really destroy the Fishman Island? It is very possible to eat poor the Fishman Island. But the other party has already said that, and everyone here doesn't have much to say. Rest assured, King, as long as we remain on the Fishman Island for a day, we will protect the Fishman Island as we would our own ship. Lu Chen nodded and promised without hesitation. The others also nodded. After all, they have already received a gift from the Fishman King, as well as a warm hospitality. At this time, they can only agree to the other party's request. What's more, it's not too much to ask for. Just keep the Fishman Island stable when you are on the Fishman Island. Is there anything in this world more terrifying than pirates? The answer is of course. Everyone had just entered the table, except for Luffy, everyone else had just had 2 sips. Just when Lu Chen was about to taste the high-grade marine creature meat prepared by the Murloc King, a soldier rushed into the hall in embarrassment. He knelt down in front of the king and cried out in pain. Your Majesty, the Celestial Dragons, come again. What? Except for Luffy and Zoro, everyone else raised their heads. Without him, mainly, the 3 words Celestial Dragons really gave them a lot of shock. Celestial Dragons. Lu Chen slowly raised his head. He remembered, as if in the chapter of the Fishman Island, there is a Celestial Dragons madly in love with the daughter of the Fishman King. That is the current Murloc princess, Shirahoshi. But how could Murlocs be with Celestial Dragons? So Shirahoshi did not agree. Unexpectedly, the Celestial Dragons would never die, and would come to the Fishman Island every once in a while to start a crazy pursuit of Shirahoshi. This matter, the whole the Fishman Island is clear. The Murloc King looked apologetically at the Straw Hats. I'm sorry everyone, I have to go out now. Celestial Dragons is the embodiment of the will of the whole world, and everyone feels high above. As a king, he must stand up and face it, otherwise the inhabitants of the Fishman Island will be in danger. It's okay, I'll go with you. Lu Chen nodded. Anyway, when we arrive at the Fishman Island, according to the prophet's divination, the Fishman Island will definitely have a big event in the end. Rather than stay here and know nothing, it's better to follow the past to see, maybe such a disaster can be resolved in advance. That's really nice. The Fishman King was overjoyed when he saw that Lu Chen agreed. After all, now he completely regards Lu Chen as the life-saving straw of the Fishman Island. Others also said they followed along. Even Luffy packed a lot of meat and walked up together. Arrived at the port of the Fishman Island. From a distance, you can see that an ugly man in a spacesuit is throwing a tantrum at the fish people at the port. A group of Murloc pariahs, how dare you say such things to me? Celestial Dragons. Dakanix is furious. Partly because of his status, and partly because of Shirahoshi's rejection, which embarrassed him as Celestial Dragons. It just so happened that these Murlocs angered him. Dakanix simply took advantage of the topic and prepared to make things difficult for the Murloc pariahs in front of him. The Fishman King in the distance hurried over. He hurriedly knelt down in front of Dakanix and pleaded, Lord Celestial Dragons, may I ask what my subjects have offended you? Please also tell me that I will punish them severely later. 39. Dakanix was less than 1.5 meters tall, but when he looked at the Murloc King who was 7 or 8 meters tall with whale blood, there was contempt in his eyes. 0 katakana middle. Ask for flowers. King of the Fishmen. You hand over Shirahoshi immediately, otherwise, all of you on the Fishman Island will not even think about living. Ah, Shirahoshi. 99. The Murloc King was stunned. Dakanix usually did not choose to pursue his daughter in various ways, but today it has changed the normal. Lord Celestial Dragons, may I ask you this? The Fishman King asked cautiously with a respectful look on his face. Dakin Ix looked impatient, and his eyes were full of disdain for the Fishman King and the whole the Fishman Island. I have already figured out that instead of continuing to pursue like this, in the end I still get only rejection. However, I can now use my identity to make Shirahoshi my slave. 39.0. As long as Shirahoshi can kneel at my feet and become my slave, I can do what I want to her. Pursuit. That's really stupid. Dakin Ix is extremely arrogant. But these words were enough to silence everyone present. That's right. As the most honorable celestial dragons in the whole world, Dakin Ix indeed has such special characteristics. Compared to repeated pursuits, for celestial dragons and murlocs of different races, to directly make the other party become their own slaves is simply an easy and logical thing. They had such concerns before, worrying about which day Dakin Ix will impatiently use his privileges. Unexpectedly, the day came so quickly. Lord Dakin. Just as the Murloc King was about to speak, Dakin Ix, who was facing him, pulled out a pistol and hit the Murloc King in the chest with a bang. Call my name, are you worthy? Dakin Ix looked vulgar and looked at the Fishman Island in front of him with disdain. Facing his king being overturned by celestial dragons, the fish people present watched, but no one dared to stand up and say a word. At this time, Dakin Ix looked around. Only then did he realize that in the face of their celestial dragons, there are still people who dare not kneel down. Just now, the Fishman King's body was too large, which made him ignore these guys. At this moment, the king fell, and the standing straw hat pirates were all revealed in the eyes of celestial dragons.